Hello and welcome back to our month in film. I'm Zach,
And I'm Kevin.
and we're here back with our uh, very popular podcast from the COVID era. Me and my brother here, Kevin, right?
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. Did we start it during the beginning of COVID? I'm not sure. So we'll have
I
to go
believe
back and
so. Let me
check
pull it up
the.
on the Apple Podcasts here. Check it out. I think it was started around March of 2020.
Could be.
Yeah, March 29th, 2020. I believe the initial lockdowns occurred in like early March, so that would have been just around near the start of COVID. It was a bona fide COVID project from the two of us, Kevin.
There we go. There were lots of those going around, to fill the void.
Yep, but
Lots of
now we're
other
back.
projects.
Now we're back with a non-virus related project, a revamped version of our old podcast, I would
Yes,
say.
we're living
Um,
thousands of miles away from each other now, so this is a good way to connect, stay in contact. You
yeah,
know.
and a good way to keep our movie discussion brains active. Good way to exercise that muscle because sometimes it can be hard to find time to have a dedicated discussion about movies. But
Hmm.
now, Kevin, your idea is to expand our week in film, which was our original podcast, to a new podcast, our month in film, but we'll also be including TV shows and books, things like that we just might want to discuss. Any consumable media, is that correct?
That's correct. Mostly film and TV. Um, but we can, we discuss books if we want. If there's songs we can listen to, and I don't know, but I think mostly movies and TV would be good. My glasses are really reflective. Yours aren't reflecting at all, but no one can see my eyes for this video.
Hmm. You have a probably because you have a big computer screen in front of your eyes.
Okay.
My computer is a small desktop, or sorry, a small laptop,
I
so
think
the
I think it's
screen
just
isn't
really
very bright.
reflective anyway.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
wow, the poster here for 2001: A Space Odyssey on your letterbox looks very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we should probably we discussed earlier, Kevin, that we would give our audience a brief catch up of where we've been, what we've been doing the past 3.5 years. Does that sound desirable?
Yeah, that sounds good. A brief recap. We could do that.
All right, so Kevin, 2020, you were living with me in Santa Clarita,
That is
and then
correct. Yeah.
soon after that, you moved to North Dakota. Now,
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I moved to North Dakota in, I think it was April of 2021. I remember the Ben John incident happened in December of 2020, and that kind of sparked the move. Because at that
I
after
bet.
that point, to that point, I was no longer allowed to live under my parents' house. Um, so that sparked the Dickinson move. But I don't know. We'll have to check the logs. I don't know which month exactly we stopped. Was the final episode. I actually went into my Google Drive the other day to try to clear out some stuff and try to make like a digital server for all my um ripped Blu-rays, but it's really difficult so far. Google Drive's definitely not the right route. But while I was clearing everything out to organize it, I saw the with Utah episodes, but I couldn't open them, so I just deleted it. So those kind of the
Oh, with
with.
Utah episodes, I don't remember
So
that.
that's the yeah we did it on a phone call. Remember
Yeah, I have no.
that was the official last one. The second to last one is the one that's uploaded on Spotify. The official last one, it's the lost episode. We did it over a phone call.
Hmm.
You were in California. I was in Mason's basement, while Adam Benjon and him were outside the door. They actually made Bing Bong Incorporated during the hour that we were on the phone call.
Right. Yeah, I have a vague memory of that now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyways, yeah, I'm not sure, not so clear on the timeline, but yeah, I moved away to Dickinson. Uh, I think I was at 19 when that was happening.
around my age.
No, which is how old you are now. Yeah. Um, and then what was it? You were still what, a junior then? Yeah, you must have been, right? 16.
When I was starting my junior year when we ended our podcast in August of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And you lived here from August to April. And then you moved to North Dakota. Then you moved back here.
Moved back for a brief interval from
Just a
October to January, or very early January. I was living back in Santa Clarita,
hmm
during which time I got horribly, horribly addicted to a certain substance, which I will not go into. But suffice to
Oh, yeah.
say,
It's a legal substance. There's nothing illegal about what you did, was there?
not for that reason. You know, we don't have to go into it. Suffice to
True.
say, not a good time. Um,
Yeah. A dissociative. We would.
yes, a disassociative. Yes, this is that is the
Anyways.
classification of drug. And then I ended up moving to Utah for college, uh, during which point I was still horribly, horribly in a pit, and ended up failing college. And now I'm still in Utah. It's 2024, March 1st. I moved here in January of 2022, and I'm still here. Enjoy living here overall. You know, I've got a great relationship with my good friend Ben,
hmm I
and
would say so.
for the time being, I'm going to stick with living here, although I don't see myself staying here for the rest of my life. Although it's certainly not a bad place to live, but especially with me debating becoming a mailman, I just would not want to drive in the snow. Certainly want to live somewhere warmer
True.
where it doesn't snow
Florida,
so
maybe.
much. Probably not Florida because humidity
The
is important
villages.
too.
Um, Very good recap, Kevin. Well, yeah, I would agree. Utah is a very good place to live. Very beautiful, especially in the winter with all the snow-capped mountains.
Definitely,
And
yeah. We're in a great period right now because the snow is pretty much dying down. There's not too much snow left, but the mountains are still blanketed, so it's very nice.
mm, very nice.
hmm So that was pretty much
Well,
that was my recap. So what about you, Zachary?
my recap since our last episode of our podcast, I started my junior year. That was all kind of, when I look back at it, it's crazy that it even happened, but it was a full year basically. I spent almost entirely inside of my house, um, doing school online. Um, Senior year of high school, the year after that, I um, had, I would say, a pretty good senior year. I feel like I did a lot of fulfilling things, such as running a couple clubs and working on our morning announcement show. Um, I made some really good friends my senior year of high school. At the end of my senior year of high school, I was planning on going on a walk across America, which I had
hmm
been planning for like 4 years.
Yeah, since you were like middle school or something, back before your
Since I
balls
was
dropped, as they say.
since I was in ninth grade, I believe.
Mm.
Um, so I planned on doing that, and then I got 3 days in, and then I gave up. And I called my friend Sam, asked if I could live with him. Um, that was great for a while. Then I started using another certain substance, which is also technically legal. Maybe not for people my age, but we don't have to get into it here. But
But we both know
I
the
was all.
details. But in case people that aren't us are listening, we don't have to get too personal.
Um, Needless to say, I was forced into a situation where I needed to find alternate housing options than living with my friend Sam.
Needless
Just
to
out of
say,
respect.
needless to say, we
What?
both, needless to say, we both had a period of degeneracy. We can put it that
You
way.
could say that. You could say
Horrible,
that.
horrible badness. Yes, very
Well,
embarrassing.
anyways,
So anyway.
that year, since I planned on being walking across America that year, I didn't have any plans, so I kind of just worked, and I was doing all right. It was a fine. It wasn't the most amazing year, but it was also a really great year, and I made a lot of friends also that year. Made a lot of money. Became an assistant manager at a pizzeria, which is a lot of responsibility. And
Mm-hmm.
well, and since around that period, I began undergoing a period of, I would say, deeper self-reflection and self-development, an awakening, you might say, um, which has been ongoing, and I'm still just reaching the tip of the iceberg on in terms of that. But I've certainly been trying to be more pay attention to my mental health more, and journal and things like that. But now I'm currently attending college in Chicago, uh, and next year I plan on switching my major from film, which is my current major, to secondary education history, or just teaching of history at the University of Illinois Chicago. So that's my update. Also, I started listening to the Beach Boys, I would say.
Yes.
And music in general. I started getting really into music. I've been listening to a lot of new and interesting music, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And with our new broadened horizons for this updated, revamped, retitled podcast, we can go into those music tastes and we can talk about artists we both love.
True, and by the way, I think I
Recommendations and
should
whatnot.
yes, sorry to
What's that?
interrupt you. I think
Oh, no
I
problem.
should also mention the amount of films the reason we're switching to Our Month in Film. That's the name of the podcast, right? Our Month in
Mm-hmm.
Film. Yes. The reason we're switching to that is because I think we both watch less movies, or at least I do. I watch way less movies than I did during COVID. During COVID, I was watching them nonstop because I had nothing but free time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As
But
well as that, it's just easier to kind of space it out. Um, Thinking maybe bi-weekly in film, but that's not such a great title. Um, and
yeah, true.
I
Not
think I
not the
think
best.
month is better. These episodes, I think, I know. I mean, I'm sure this one's gonna go for 3 hours or so. Um,
You think this podcast is gonna go for 3 hours?
I don't know, maybe. You know,
How many movies?
we've been going
How
for a
many movies do
while.
you have?
Not that many, but I'm just saying, we're catching up, talking about stuff. Not necessarily
I
because of
suppose.
the amount of movies, but it's the official, the grand reopening
True.
fiesta,
The grand opening fiesta.
grand reopening fiesta.
All right. Well, let's see. With that being said, um, should we do some movie quote trivia, Kevin?
That's a great idea. What
All
better
right.
way to start an episode? Although I didn't say a silly name, but that's because we're back now. I have to say maybe.
Oh, I kind of
Perhaps,
forgot you did that.
perhaps later I'll say a silly name.
Yeah.
But
By
maybe
the
I've
way,
grown up and I'm past that now. But it is kind of funny.
maybe
I was laughing
I,
at sometimes when I said the things. It's making myself
I
laugh.
listened to the podcast myself, a couple episodes, and I had completely forgotten we did movie quote trivia. I'd completely forgotten our signature outro phrase, which
Forgot about
you
that
know
too. Yep.
you know now, right, Kevin?
Which we will say together at the end of the episode, which we both
Of
know what
course,
it
as we do
is.
every episode. Um, but yeah, listening to it, I got excited to get back into doing the movie quote trivia every week. Now, I forget, did I just like find an individual movie and look up the quotes, or did I just look up
I
a
think you
list?
were going on AFI's top quotes or something, if I remember
Got it.
correctly. But
AFI top quotes. And I just did one quote.
yeah. Although,
All right.
maybe to as a suggestion, maybe try to if the quote is from some movie I've never seen, maybe just skip to the next one. Or if
Skip
it's like
that one, yeah.
a really famous quote that like for example the Titanic one, I'm the king of the world. I got that one even though I haven't seen it. Um, you can give that one to me if you think maybe I would know it, but
Uh,
um, I feel like the
true.
movie trivia quotes kind of missed sometimes because they're just kind of random movies I've never heard of or I'd never
Yeah.
seen at least. Because I have heard of every movie. I just there's just not enough time to watch them yet. But I have a
You've heard
vast
of
knowledge of
every movie?
films that I've never seen. Yeah, pretty much. If you name a film, I've probably heard of it.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I know it's a
I think there are
big
probably a lot of
exaggeration.
films that you haven't seen, or that you haven't heard of, I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to find your profile on Letterboxd so I can see what films you've seen.
Hmm. You should go to your followers because I recently followed you. I've got both mine and your profiles pulled up.
Mm, good thinking. Let's see. Let me find a good movie here.
I should have connected my third monitor. Ben gifted me a third monitor because his brother gave him. I think his brothers gave him two new ones.
Nice.
So I'll be able to have a third now. So I bought a VGA to DisplayPort adapter. And I want to get a wall mount so I can have it in the corner. It also display baseball games. Because my dad gave me the MLB password, which I very much appreciated, so I can watch games this season, even though I don't really watch it that much. Prefer to watch
Well, that was
H3.
very nice of your dad, Kevin.
Uh-huh.
All right, I think I'm honing in on a movie quote here. Just
Okay.
keep on stalling by talking.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you hear me smacking on my pizza, I apologize for that. I'm wrapping up my second and final slice for now, so just bear with me. I'm not sure how well this is picking up. But I just went to Costco today with my friend Ben. We both each got 18-inch pizzas.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That would be a medium at Vincenzo's, where
Wow.
I worked. All right.
Yeah, only $9.95. I bet it's more expensive at Vincenzo's for a medium, huh?
All right. Here is a quote. This is a quote. This is multiple quotes back and forth. This is a dialogue, actually.
Hmm.
Okay. So this might be movie dialogue trivia. King Arthur, look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Black Knight, yes, I have. King Arthur, look, Black Knight, it's just a flesh wound.
That's
What movie is this
that's
from?
it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Am I right?
That's correct. That's correct.
That I saw that one last year with Josh and Ben. They both really liked it, so they showed it to me. However, I wasn't really in the mood. I don't remember anything really from that movie, and I would need to rewatch it. Luckily, I will
Nice.
eventually because it's on my movie poster, which I just also revamped today. Although I
Yeah, I
filmed that,
saw that on YouTube.
yes, although I filmed that like
Good video.
2.5 weeks ago.
Shout out to Kaz Productions.
I sourced all the clips from my Blu-ray, MKV'd it, and then really spent some time editing it. It's really fun.
Yeah, I like the editing in
Thanks.
the beginning. Okay. All
Yeah,
right, so are we ready to?
did you like when I went to the drums? I worked really hard to time that out.
I did like that, yeah. It was
Thanks.
good. Altogether good. Well
Yeah,
done.
but enough about me. Let's talk about us and our month in film.
An
This month,
hour month in film.
this month being
Uh,
February.
True. This is a shorter month, just easing our way into it with a little bit of a short month.
Although it is
And
the longest February in the past 4 years,
that's true.
and will be for the next
Can't deny that.
4 years again.
So, how many movies did you watch this month, Kevin?
Let me count. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 movies.
Wow. So I've watched 7 movies this month
Nice.
in
So
total.
should we go by calendar and just day by day? Do it like last time?
Yeah, sure.
And
Uh,
I don't know if you have a way to track the days you watch your TV, but I do, and I can pull up the days I watch television episodes as well.
no, I
Um,
don't. But I can just discuss what show. We can just probably discuss what shows we've been watching, kind of, not necessarily
yeah, we don't need
episode
to
by
go
episode.
episode by episode, especially for shows that you haven't watched. Um, Man, I really should lose weight.
That's what I'm saying, Kevin.
Yeah, I went to the gym again for the first time in like 5 days. Been slacking, but
Nice. I had a good streak there for a while where I was walking and going on a daily walk every day. Um, but not the past couple days.
mhm. You'll get back into it
Anyways,
though. Anyways, enough about our
anyways,
personal weight struggles.
our horrible, horrible weight struggles.
Let's get
A
into
daily
the
battle.
films.
Yes.
Um,
Did you watch any February 1st?
I did.
All right, let's hear it.
On February 1st, I watched The Lawnmower Man, a film from 1992, directed by Brett Leonard. Tagline: God made him simple, science made him a god. Um,
Nice.
this I watched this as part of my ongoing quest to become the world's biggest and greatest Stephen King fan.
Uh-huh.
It is a it is technically an adaptation of the short story by the same name, The Lawnmower Man, from the story collection Night Shift,
Uh-huh.
which is his first story collection. And I can tell you what year that was released too, since we're being really official. Night Shift from 1978, Stephen King's first story collection, consisting of, I think, 20 short stories, which is actually, adaptation-wise, I believe his most prolific short story collection. A large majority of the stories in that collection have been adapted for the screen, either the screen or um, the big screen or the small screen.
Big screen or
Um,
small?
yes, yes. So this one, so the short story, is called The Lawnmower Man because it's about a guy who orders a lawn mowing service, but when the guy arrives, he's literally a lawnmower man, and he, instead of having a lawnmower and pushing it around, he just eats it all, and he just runs around
Nice.
and eats the grass, and he's like describes how the green juices are dripping from his chin, and then it's revealed at the end that he's like a worshiper of a demon, the god Pan.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm reading my review here for reference. Um, so it's pretty out there short story. The film has nothing at all to do with that story. Um, so it's technically not even an adaptation, although on the poster it says Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. Stephen King actually sued the creators or producers, whatever. He sued somebody involved with the film, probably the producers,
Mm-hmm.
and won twice, because they were trying to slap his name on the title, even though he had nothing to do with the story. Apparently, it was a merging of two short stories. Um, could figure out what the short story was called, but I have to go do some looking. Um, so instead of being a kind of creepy horror story, it's a sci-fi movie, and it's actually one of the first films to use CGI, and it definitely shows. It's very bad CGI. I felt like I was having acid flashbacks for a lot of the CGI sequences. It's very strange, uncanny looking kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Is that
basically
true about acid that you get flashbacks, Kevin? Because Norm Macdonald has his famous stand-up set, and he says you get flashbacks when you do acid.
uh, it's not really acid flashback. I mean, I know that's like a term, acid flashbacks. Um, but it's just more like gets me back to what it felt like, to be horribly out of my mind and uncomfortable on lysergic acid diethylamine. Um, I'm not sure what actual acid flashbacks are referring to, but it just got me disassociated a little bit, feeling weird,
Mm.
but not really. I say that more for comedic effect, but there is some truth in it. It's felt very odd watching it. Um, but the reason this film's called The Lawnmower Man is because the plot revolves around a mentally handicapped guy. He's like in his 20s or so, mid 20s maybe, and he has the mental capacity. It's presented he has like a very childlike mental capacity. His best buddy is like an 8-year-old, so um,
Nice.
yeah, so he's mentally slow, and Pierce Brosnan is a scientist, and he brings him under his wing. He already knows him before this plot kicks off, but he's brings him under his wing, and the version of VR in this movie, it revolves around VR, virtual reality, but the version in this movie is not what VR is at all. Currently VR is mostly just for like first-person games or like a metaverse and such. And this virtual reality means you can like hack into the mainframe, basically, the old classic like sci-fi saying.
Oops.
Basically he hacks into the mainframe, and slowly he becomes really smart and basically transcends existence. And at the end, he like gets he becomes like one with the entire internet and computer space. Um,
Wow.
and it's
Sounds like
just
it has nothing to do with the original story
nothing
at
at
all.
all. Yeah. So Stephen King sued the first time for having their association in the title, and then the second time he sued and won again when they did video releases at the video stores. So this was one I was kind of not looking forward to when I was doing my adaptation watch along. Although
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't too bad. It was honestly not a bad movie. It was pretty entertaining for the most part. It had a lot of pretty fun moments. Character itself of the Lawnmower Man, I forget it was Job, because he had some like very biblical trauma as well. The character of the Lawnmower Man, his name
Mm.
Job, after the story from the Bible, the character. Um,
True.
so
And the
yeah,
character from Arrested Development.
that's one I haven't seen, but I should. Isn't that Uncle Dave's character?
Uncle Dave?
Yeah, from Chipmunks.
Oh.
Is that
Uh,
David Cross, right?
no, Job is played by Will Arnett.
Oh, let's see. Let's see.
Um, I'm
Um,
trying to remember who David Cross plays.
I think Tobias, right? That's his name.
Tobias Funke. Yes, that's correct.
Funky. Yeah, it's one I should watch. Um, perhaps after I finish Curb Your Enthusiasm. But
True.
that's about my thoughts on the Lawnmower Man. It was pretty high budget film. Again, first uses of CGI, so it's definitely I'd say worth watching just for that part alone. It's very interesting to look back on the CGI. The it kind of felt like the writers had no idea what they were talking about in regards to VR. I'm not sure how far along VR really was at that point. I know they had there's like a Nintendo tennis game.
There's the Virtual Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, but that's it's completely different from what it is now. Um, and I watched this on this channel called something. It's like this channel on YouTube where I think it was called Creature Features, where they like buy the rights to distribute movies. Then they distribute it on YouTube. And in the beginning, they did they're in character guys, like creepy Transylvania guys. It's like this gothic guy and then this like corpse bride kind of looking lady, and they do like a little introduction to the movie, and then halfway through the film they did a little talk about the movie, and then at the end they wrapped it up. So it was kind of a cool experience. The channel itself looks pretty cool. They've got a lot of interesting looking movies on there, so I might eventually watch some more that they have to offer. I think it's called Creature Features on YouTube.
Nice.
They have a little it's kind of a little, not a commentary, but they kind of talk about the movie in the middle and at the beginning to end. But yeah, that's about it for the Lawnmower Man. As
Nice.
part
So
of
sounds
part of
like
my Stephen King biggest fan of all time quest
the CGI
watch
is
list.
good, but the story's not the best.
I would say that well, kind of the opposite. CGI was very bad. CGI was
Oh,
CGI was notable because it's like the one of the first uses of full CGI sequences. But
I see.
the story wasn't bad, honestly. It's just had nothing to do with the Stephen King um, short story. So
Got
yeah,
it.
that's about
All
all
right.
my thoughts on that. So that was I
Oh,
watched that on February 1st while I made
okay.
chickpea mush. I watched it on my phone while simultaneously making chickpea mush.
Nice. My chickpea mush recipe?
Yeah, except I don't put relish in it. I've been just doing veganese from Trader Joe's, which I need to re-up on because I think I'm about done with that. And
Nice.
I use mustard and chickpeas I get from Trader Joe's. And then Ben has this really nice food processor thing. I just mush it around.
That's the perfect thing to use.
Yeah, it's really great.
All
Ben
right,
really,
now on to
really, really has
the
every tool I can need.
second.
All right. So I'm seeing you're not present with us until the 6th of February, so I'm just kind of keep going, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
please go ahead. I see this film is 2001: A Space Odyssey,
yeah.
which you
So
have already covered on your YouTube
on the
page.
second, yeah. So I guess I'll say go to Cats Productions on YouTube if you want to see my 24-minute review on it, which I spent some time on editing. I'm pretty happy with the results. But just briefly, pretty much, the best movie I've ever seen overall. When they say every frame a painting, this film is a shining example of that, I think.
Yeah.
Even the fonts, like the caution explosive bolts, it just catches my eye. Down to the fonts, it just looks good.
Caution,
Every,
explosive bolts.
yep, just literally looks great when the pod's closing and it centers on it says caution explosive bolts.
Oh, I see this I see this on Google here. Yeah, that is
Just
a nice
looks
font.
nice. Just the fonts that just look nice, down to the fonts, and everything just looks great about it. Hal is just chilling. The voice is fantastic. The whole,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much from the point we cut to Dave and Hal in the Jupiter mission, just flawless. Like the first half can be considered a bit pretentious. I don't think so because pretentious is when you are pretending to be smarter than you are. But Stanley Kubrick is smart, and
Stanley
the
Kubrick's
whole,
got a big noggin there. You know,
oh yeah,
he's very smart. He's very particular. He spends a lot of time getting his shots right. He
hmm
knows what he wants.
the whole monkey
Great.
sequence can be considered a bit overindulgent, but I love the whole monkey sequence. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't see how, especially once you get to the Jupiter mission, you can't be enthralled with that story. Um,
Totally.
totally.
And it inspired one of my favorite films, Love and Mercy, especially the ending scene of Love and Mercy,
Yeah.
or near end scene.
Yeah, and I used to have an awesome favorite vegetable T-shirt, which I unfortunately forgot in Albuquerque, and I messaged him, and he said I might have that print, but I don't think I do anymore. He never got back to me, so I was SOL on
Nice.
that one.
It's all right. It's all right. Did you know when I was in Vegas, I saw a guy with a favorite vegetable shirt. He had the Anya Taylor-Joy, uh, like Beach Boys are better than Beatles shirt.
Yeah, that's the one I'm wearing right now.
No way. And I
Yes
said,
way.
"Hey, I like your shirt" to the guy, and I didn't realize I was wearing my favorite vegetable shirt at the same time too. So I could have shown him mine. It would have been a great moment, but unfortunately, I didn't realize I was wearing it. So
Hmm.
he just got a nice compliment.
That would have been a good moment, for sure.
Yep, one of my biggest regrets. All right, now let's see here. On
Well,
the
I mean,
6th,
do you have any thoughts on 2001? Since, especially when we both seen it, it's nice to have a little discussion. I don't know, like I said, we could check out my thoughts on my YouTube channel, but I don't know
good point,
what the
Kevin.
last time you've watched it is, but I don't know if you have anything to share. If you don't, we can just move on to the next one.
Hold
About
on. I'm
this
trying to.
masterpiece of cinema, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which you can actually see right there in frame. My poster for it. Of the five, oops, I don't really have trouble. Of the five movie posters I have, two and a half of which are in frame. Taxi Driver, 2001, and half of Back to the Future. Not shown are Ghostbusters and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I've still got the new Bev one, which you never continue to send me the posters. So I'm just stuck with January 2022.
Forgot I was going to do that. So I haven't seen 2001: A Space Odyssey in like over 5 years. So my thoughts on it are a little bit cloudy, but I do remember really liking it when I saw it, even though it was fairly early into me watching uh, more movies. I remember really liking it. I don't think that the monkey scene is overindulgent. I think it's kind of necessary for the whole story of the film overall, and the basically the way that the monolith is advancing human
Mm-hmm.
civilization and has basically been what has propelled humanity.
Just to make it
In,
clear, I don't think it's overindulgent. I was just hypothesizing how the popcorn munchers of the world might view it, but I don't view
mm,
it that way at all. Of course, I appreciate every frame of it.
well, I think you got to give people more credit. I think a lot of people like this movie.
I know from my experience when I watched it in IMAX, this lady behind me walked out during the part where
Mm.
they were eating the minimalistic space food. I heard her laugh a little bit, and she left. I said, "You stupid wench."
Maybe she had like maybe she had like an emergency, like your kid got sick or something, so
No,
she had to leave.
no, I could sense it. She was laughing at it. I said, "Good riddance with you.
All right,
Be gone."
uh, but I do think it's a very good film. I would love to rewatch it. I always I remember it being very visually impressive at almost all points, and the sci-fi element of it feels very grounded and realistic. I feel like.
Hmm.
Um, I think that the scene where Dave is dismantling Hal is one of the best
Absolutely.
scenes.
Hmm.
Period.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Period. No question mark. Facts no printer.
and, and overall, a great movie. I would love to rewatch it. It is pretty long. Or actually, it's only
It's not too. It's only two and a
149
half.
minutes,
Yeah, not
2.5 hours.
not
So
as
no,
long as yeah. Sorry.
I would definitely love to watch it again. These days, what movies I watch are pretty much dictated by what my roommates want to watch, because I just prefer to watch a movie with my roommate
Mm.
or roommates. We have a TV now.
Oh, is that the TV that you got?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Got some peanut butter there too.
Yeah, that is Ian's peanut butter. Sometimes he makes peanut butter bagels with that.
Nice. Toaster? Do you guys have a toaster?
No, he microwaves the bagels.
Hmm. Nice.
And sometimes he'll also use it for protein shakes.
Nice.
But yeah, those would be my thoughts on 2001. I don't know, good movie. I would recommend you watch it. I would recommend I rewatch it as well.
Hmm.
All
Are you
right.
talking to me or the audience? Because I just saw it.
The audience at large, yes. Our viewers, yes.
Yes.
Listeners.
I have to say, I don't know if it's just me, but all the movies I rip onto my Blu-ray player into my my hard drive, it looks like 10,000 times better on my desktop. I don't know if it's just because the pure file is encoded onto a file, but like you can see every film grain. It looks just fantastic.
Mm.
When I downloaded the Sopranos episode to put that little blippet in my review, it just looks so much better than it does on my TV. Although my TV's in 720p, but it looks better
That
than
could.
it looks better than it streams on Max as well. It just looks so good.
Yeah, well, your monitor is probably because your monitor is higher quality than your TV, right?
Yeah, but it also looks better than the um, TV we have in the living room. I'm not sure if
Mm,
that's 4K or just 1080p. I think probably just 1080p. But I do have a 4K monitor, even though I don't use anything in 4K.
nice.
Anyways, looks like we move on to the sixth, where I watched one movie and you watched two. So I guess you could do one, I do one, you do one. Do a little
Sound,
film, do a little brother film sandwich.
sounds good to me, brother. Uh, let's see. I am currently in two film history classes, so most of the movies I've been watching have been for that class. I watched Singing in the Rain last month, but I won't discuss that because this is our month in film.
Not our last
Um,
month in film.
true.
Although it is last
Um,
month now because it's March. Not our 2 months away
and
film.
on the 6th of January, I watched
You mean February?
6th of February, I watched the film Shoes, which is from
Jeez.
1916 and is essentially about a young girl who, I mean, by young girl, I mean like young woman, really, like an 18-year-old, who is very poor and who works as a cashier at a five and dime, what dollar stores used to be, and she is extremely poor and she needs new shoes. Her shoes are falling apart, they're flopping around everywhere, and she puts cardboard in her shoes every night to keep them sturdy. And the film is basically about her struggling with her shoes and wanting new shoes, and eventually deciding to uh, become a one time prostitute for this creep who wants to have sex with her in exchange for getting new shoes.
Mm.
And that's essentially the plot of the film. It's 48 minutes long. Um, it's a silent film. It has title cards. Now, this was directed by Louis Weber, who is a female and also created the film Suspense, which I guess I've already seen. Um, and I guess you could say the film has a kind of like a women empowerment kind of undercurrent behind it. Um, but it was definitely visually impressive, especially for the time, 1916. It had some good like low shots of her like walking of her shoes, and it had one dream sequence where a giant hand was reaching kind of like this at a bed at her, and it said like poverty on the hand, so it was like the hand of poverty, like
Mm.
strangling this girl or whatever, like a fun visual effect.
Mm.
It wasn't an incredible groundbreaking film, I don't think. Definitely under discussed, I'd say. I don't think too many people have seen it. Um, but yeah, my film history teacher just showed it to us, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was the first silent film I'd seen in probably like a year, so good to get back into it. And before that, I had watched a bunch of like early proto uh, silent films, like from the 1800s, most of which I'd already seen from my phase when I was watching movies from the 1800s all the time.
Mm. I have still on my list. I think I'm on 1898 now. I narrowed it down to top
Nice.
20, which I still want to do, but top 50 was way too
Top
unrealistic.
100 movies from every year.
Well, I was initially doing top 50, but I narrowed it down to top 20.
Got it.
Um,
All right.
anyways,
Looks like you're up for the films.
what's So you said you had two film classes?
Yes, I have one class that discusses film history from 1894 to 1945, and one that
Oh,
discusses from 1945 to present. The
interesting.
second film I watched on the 6th is my one for 1945 to the present.
Gotcha. Was it black and white, or is it like tinted yellow, black and white?
Shoes?
Yeah, shoes.
Um, Good question. It was tinted. Most of it was tinted, yes. A lot of silent films in that era were hand tinted different colors. And I think it
Yeah.
definitely does add something to the film because you can kind of tell when it's daytime or nighttime, things like that with the tinting.
For some reason, I thought it would be tinted. I guess I was right.
Yep, it was. Um, but yeah, what was your film on the 6th?
All right, on February 6th, although I think I started this on the 5th, watched half of it. I was really tired and then I went to sleep. Finished it on the 6th, is The Mangler, directed by Toby Hooper, famous horror director, um, from 1995. This is another Stephen King adaptation, much more faithful than The Lawnmower Man. It's like a laundry press, and it's the Mangler refers to this giant steam press that iron sheets, and pretty much the same thing in the book and the movie. It kind of expands it in the film, but essentially the Mangler is kind of has a life of its own. It starts to come to life. Well, the lore behind the Mangler is different in the movie, but in the book, it's has a demon and possessed inside of it from the blood of a virgin, and it starts pretty much just grabbing people's hands and it sucks them inside and mangles them. Why it's called the
Mm,
Mangler.
nice.
Um, so that's pretty much what the book's about. The movie is the same thing essentially, but the uh, the guy who runs the laundry press is a real decrepit old weirdo guy. You can see he's in the banner for the film. If you are on my page, you click on my review.
Yeah, I'm
He's
looking at it. The guy with the half glasses.
he's played by what's his face? The guy who plays Freddy Krueger, Robert England. So perfect horror actor, great at great at doing weird, creepy guys. It's definitely got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
makeup on him, but the that character is like a real cynical capitalist guy who he has like these braces on his legs. Apparently he's like we all have to sacrifice something for the Mangler, and kind of forget about it. It wasn't the best movie. It was a bit boring. Um, but it was also it was pretty over the top, a little campy, if that's the right word.
Mm,
Um, but the main character was a cop, and he looked like Jimmy McGill and sounded like Patrick Warburton. So
nice.
I was really confused the whole time. I was like, man, I kept thinking it was Jimmy McGill, even though in my head I knew it wasn't, obviously. But it
That's
kept sounding
funny.
like Patrick Warburton. Um, it was an interesting cop. He had a friend who was like this hippie guy that introduced the idea that the Mangler was possessed. And he's like a uh, real I guess no nonsense kind of guy. So initially, what are you talking about? There's no demons in this. But eventually, that's the only possible answer because of how crazy this thing is. Um, and yeah, it spawned two sequels, one of which has been featured in the uh, best of the worst reading of every movie they own. I think the
No,
Mangler, I think the Mangler 2, Mike and Jay own that one, or Red Letter Media as a whole owns that one. I know they've it's been featured on the Plinketto board, I think. Although not
the Mangler has.
the Mangler 2,
Oh, the
the
Mangler too.
sequel, which I haven't seen yet, but eventually will. It's part of my Stephen King watch along.
All right, now we will move on to the second film that I watched on the 6th, which is Bicycle Thieves. This is a classic Italian film from the Italian neo-realist movement of the post-World War II 1940s, directed by Vittorio De Sica. I'd seen this one time before with Kevin and my mom, our mom that we share.
Our mutual mother, yes.
Yes. Funny how that worked out. But we watched it together one time when Kevin had it assigned for one of his film classes, and I was assigned it for one of my film classes. So I watched it again, and it is still just as good as it was when I watched it the first time. It's a very grounded film. You really feel like you're in that sort of uh, Italy post World War II poverty. You really feel like you're in the grips of it, and you really sympathize with the main character, and especially with his son Bruno, who is, one of the best parts about the movie. He's just an 8-year-old kid who works at a gasoline pump, and he accompanies his dad on his adventures to get his bicycle back. Um, but overall, I think Bicycle Thieves is a deserved classic film, and obviously it is very famous and popular, but for good reason. It's a very good movie, and I gave it 4 stars.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't remember the film too well. I remember it was definitely very beautiful, nice kind of movie. I like the kid as
Mhm.
well. I remember he was really in. He was talking like this. I remember that. He was like,
Mhm.
you know, Italian.
The kid was a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that was the last movie I watched until the 15th. So you're gonna have a couple movies here you gotta discuss. Um,
All
would you
right.
like to begin your
That was
discussion?
yeah, that was February 6th. So on February 7th, I watched Children of the Corn 3: Urban Harvest, another movie in my Stephen King watch along, based on the Children of the Corn short story from Night Shift, um,
Nice.
in which a couple stumbles upon a abandoned town of Gatlin, Nebraska, I think, and all the adults are gone, and they stumble upon a cult of children who basically sacrifice themselves, have a ceremony whenever they turn 17, I believe, or maybe it's 18, whenever they come of age. The
I
women.
think 17 is Harry Potter. Probably what you're thinking of.
Uh, they don't kill themselves in Harry Potter. So I don't know if I'm confused.
Yeah, but they come of age in Harry Potter when they turn 17.
Yeah, but I think they come of age at 17 in the Children of the Corn cult as well.
Got
Uh,
it.
yeah, but anyways, they worship this entity called He Who Walks Behind the Rose. In the
Mm-hmm.
first two, he's just kind of actually that's not true. He's kind of just a lightning guy in the first two. In the third one, I believe he becomes this. There's a big giant glooky monster who's covered in like a bunch of slime and stuff, and he comes out of the ground, and he's like a big plant monster.
Did you
And
say he was a lightning guy at first and then he turned into a plant monster?
yeah, in the first couple, he's just kind of lightning, and he shows shots of like the dirt going like kind of like raising. It's like kind of it's like in Super Mario Galaxy where the mole kind of like raises the dirt as it goes along, but then he lowers once he passes it.
Mm.
It's kind of like that. Um,
Now there's a comparison I can understand.
I was trying to get you to visualize it, and that was the best I could compare it to. Um, so he's kind of just a dirt lightning monster in the beginning, a couple movies, and then he becomes this big plant monster in the third one. He basically, if I remember correctly, everyone dies at the end. The adopted parents, the children that they adopt, which is the main plot of the film. These two kids were part of the Children of the Corn cult. After it's disbanded, get adopted by this couple who can't have children but want to adopt their own. Um, and yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I liked it better than the first two, just because it was more fun. I think more entertaining. I think the first one maybe was a better film overall. more well put together. But mm, I think the third one was also quite quite good. The first two were only really the first two were the only one released theatrically, and then the third one is once it starts to hit the video era. And I think they're still producing Children of the Corn movies. They've been two remakes
Whoa.
now in the past 10 years. I think they've had a Netflix original Children of the Corn movie past couple of years. I think 2021 came out. So they're all part of my Stephen King watch list. My quest to become the biggest Stephen King fan, read all of his books, and
Right.
watch all of his adaptations.
Of course.
And
And why is it called Urban Harvest?
um, urban is refers to cities, right?
That would be correct, yes.
So yeah, they moved to Chicago actually, and they where you live. So I think I mentioned. I said
Hey.
I hope Zach's not there. He'd be in trouble. That's what I said to Ben.
Yeah, it's crazy living in Chicago. Chicago shows up in movies a lot more than Santa Clarita does, and I'm sure a lot more than um, you don't. Where do you live? Orem.
Orem.
I'm sure it shows up a lot more movies than in Orem. Chicago does. I see
Mm-hmm.
it all the time in movies and in TV shows now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because I'm like, wow, I live there,
Do
and
you
I can see like
recognize
the
places
yeah,
you
I
live?
recognize the buildings, I recognize the skyline because you can go on a walk to the Adler Planetarium and get a nice panoramic view of the entire skyline, and I'll recognize it in movies or TV shows when they'll show the skyline. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty fun.
Yeah, the most recent thing I watched was a big love letter to Chicago was The Bear, which we can talk about later if we want. It's part of our television section. But great Chicago show, all the L train especially. Cool and above ground trains. Do you take it? Do you take the trains often?
Not often. I have no actual utilitarian need to ever use them because all my classes are really close to me. But occasionally I will take them if I'm with friends and we're out doing something, or if I need to go to the airport, I'll take the train, take the Orange Line straight to Midway.
Nice.
It's pretty convenient. I just get right off the train and then I walk in a weatherproof like tunnel that's like suspended above air that leads from the train station to uh, the entrance to the airport.
Nice.
Yep.
Are you gonna go to some Sox games or some Cubs games once the season officially starts up on your own dime? You think?
Well, I was trying to see if I could buy tickets with my Capital One points, but they kept on saying that the tickets weren't available yet. So I'm not sure, but I'm sure I will go. Or actually, I am for sure going to go to a White Sox game on the 30th or 31st, I believe, with mom and dad because they're
Mm-hmm.
coming here to visit me.
Yeah, I wanted to try
Um,
to go to that, but it's just travel wise. I could probably get the days off, but travel wise, it's flights are like $400 right now for some reason.
wow,
Even with Spirit, it's like 200 to get there, and it's just not really
that's
worth it.
crazy.
I would like to take a train, but it's like a day and a half trip, and time is money. Gotta work.
Time is money. Yeah, you got to get that.
Only have so many
Got to
days
get
with my
that
dad.
bag, as they say,
I would
right?
prefer to get the days off for the mango party, or especially
True.
when we go to Yellowstone.
Yeah, true.
So unfortunately, I'm going to have to hold off on the White Sox game, although I would love to go.
By the way, for any of our viewers out there, if you would like to be invited to Mango Party, just feel free to send me an email at ourweekendfilm@gmail.com, and I'll give you the info for Mango Party, just so you know.
You heard it here. Yeah, but
That's
that was about all I had to say about Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest, which takes place in Chicago, Illinois.
beautiful.
Glad you weren't in the movie, or else you might have been in trouble.
Yep,
Um,
I could have been harvested.
yeah,
My organs could have been harvested.
yeah. I think the best scene over the top. One of the younger child of the corn, who was more indoctrinated. The older teenage brother wasn't really all too into it. He kind of just wanted to start to become a normal kid and hang out with his high school buddies. But the younger brother had this voodoo doll, and he just was kept stabbing at it. He was like in his little house. Or I don't remember where he was. He was in a room somewhere, stabbing at the voodoo doll. And meanwhile, they were having a church ceremony, and one of the guys, I can't remember his connection or why he was doing it exactly, but he started bleeding from his ears and his eyes.
Mm.
He's like, oh, oh! He was just spouting blood. He's like, oh! He laid on the floor. It's like that real kind of light red looking movie blood. Didn't look
I
like real
see.
blood, but it was really entertaining.
Sounds crazy.
I would recommend it even if you haven't seen it. It's all the movies aren't really connected. There's no sequential
Ah,
kind of
so
story.
it's a standalone.
Yeah, they're all kind of standalone. Stephen King only wrote the one story, which was what the first film was based off of. So they kind of just kept it going. It is
True.
the longest running Stephen King franchise, and he has stated that he is embarrassed by them and that there's too many.
They're not even really Stanley King movies at that point. You don't really need to watch them.
I do need to watch them because it is part of my. Because actually, in my Stephen King adaptation, Stephen King at the movies book that our uncle Matthew gave me
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, I think for my birthday. On the Children of the Corn section, there's a little blurb about what Stephen King was quoted, and he says, "Whenever one of my fans approaches me and says, 'Oh, I've seen all your movies. I'm the biggest fan,' I have to wonder if they've really seen all my movies." And he refers to the Children of the Corn movies. He's like, "There's 10 of them. They're so embarrassing. They're all bad." So I took that to heart. So
Mm,
that's why I'm on this quest, Stephen King. If I ever meet
I
you,
see.
I'll be able to say
Because
yes.
you want to see Stephen King in the street say, I actually watched all your movies, including all the Children of the Corn movies. So take that.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Yeah. Although
yeah,
they're
but by the time that happens, he'll probably be like 90.
Yeah, yeah, he's in his mid 70s now, so I don't intend to meet him. Don't necessarily want to meet him. Probably will never meet him. But if I ever did,
Why don't you want to meet him?
I mean, I guess I would like to meet him if I, but I wouldn't seek it out. I
If
guess
he was doing a book tour for his latest book and it was happened to be in Orem, would you buy a ticket to see him at a book tour?
mm, I don't know. I kind of stay disconnected from the celebrities. It's like why I would never want to be on the H3 podcast, and I couldn't listen to that episode. It'd be weird. Hearing myself.
Yeah,
I like to stay a layer of separation between the things I like.
true.
I guess. Brian Cranston
Insulate
would be weird
yourself
to listen to.
emotionally.
Insulate myself?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just insulate myself emotionally. You have a Denny's mug? Or did you steal
Yeah.
it?
I'm not at liberty to say, but Hector and I both have one of these mugs, and
It's pretty cool.
let's just say we made an initial offer to buy it, and they said they were not for sale. So we came up with an alternate plan.
Oh my gosh. Wow, what are you drinking out of there? It's pretty cool, I must say.
Rum, mostly coconut rum. Just kidding. It's actually empty.
Oh. Do you strip
Uh,
drink?
Typically, I drink water out of it, but occasionally we'll have French press coffee that I make with Awesome Coffee Club coffee beans,
You
which
have
you
a
can see right there.
you have a press?
We have a French press, yeah.
Wow, is that Ian's or what? Did you go in on that together?
No, it's mine. I bought it. It was $16 from Aldi.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cheap. I would think
Yeah,
it's
do you
like
want to see it?
hundreds of dollars. Sounds very fancy. Sure. Let's see the French press coffee machine.
French press was not hundreds of dollars. Did I say that?
No, that's just what I assume. French. It sounds fancy. I don't know anything about coffee. I assume it's this
No,
big.
it was
I assume
$16.
it's this big machine where it takes like 10 minutes for it to do a slow drip. Well, while Zach's getting that French coffee press, yeah, I would recommend Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest to anyone that hasn't seen it. Oh, and now he's back.
Oop.
Oh yeah, I see. It's just like a little. It's not non-electronic. I thought it was like this big, like, thought it was like that big mocha machine we saw in.
Did you get a good look at it?
Yeah, I was saying I thought it was going to be electric. I was picturing like that gigantic coffee machine there was in Canada. Remember that one?
Nope. This is you just
Let's see.
put the coffee in here. Shit, it's kind of wet. Coffee and hot water, and then this is a mesh. Um,
Nice. You put
and
any
then
you put
you let
ground
it brew. What?
you put ground up beans in there.
Yeah, ground up beans in hot water,
Gotcha.
and then you cover it with the lid. Let it sit for 4 minutes. This is an 8 cup, so you do 50 grams of coffee and about 3 mugs worth of water. We usually just do it in the microwave because we don't have an electric kettle, but I bought one, so that'll change soon.
Yeah,
And then
I have an electric kettle. It's really
after
easy.
4 minutes, you press this down slowly, and it'll filter out all the beans, separate them from the water, and then you have some really good, really strong coffee um,
Nice.
with no beans mixed in the water because of the thing that filters it.
You just take it black. You get creamer or anything or no?
I do take it black. That was something that I began doing with Hector Dominguez.
Whenever you go to Denny's with me, I know you do
Yes, and
that. Really
yeah, I
good.
drink it black. Sam Manel drinks it black. Hector drinks it black. Lettuce drinks it black.
Wow.
A lot of my friends do.
Bunch of cool coffee connoisseurs over
I
here.
guess it's because we're cool, probably, is the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say. All right, so
Do you drink that every day? Have a cup every morning? Cup of Joe?
no, I do not. I have it maybe every couple of days. The one serving of the coffee costs, let's see, well, one of those bags costs $20 and it makes about 6 pots worth of coffee, which is about 18 cups. So I'm paying a little over $1 per cup.
Nice. Good
So it's
deal.
kind of an expensive thing to do every day.
I see. My
But
my daily drink is about $1.73 per day. My monsters that I buy
true.
in bulk from Costco. But
True, yeah. If I had a job, I would
I enjoy
start
it.
buying 5 pound bags and getting them shipped here every 2 weeks.
Nice.
And then
Is that bag beaned or do you have a coffee grinder or is it just powder in the bag?
that is whole. Our coffee is whole bean. We have a grinder. Yes, it's not a very good, particularly good grinder though. Some of them you can set so that they grind to a specific like granule size. You know what I mean? You know, like coarser and or finer grinds. But ours is just kind of blitzes it as if it was a food processor, and you just kind of blitz it as much as you want it to be ground.
If I bought you the biggest size of Costco beans that they had for your birthday, would you accept that gift?
I would love that gift
Nice. I'll look
if you
into
bought
it
me
and
like
let you
a
know.
industrial, but it'd have to be the whole bean. Well, actually, I don't want to be picky. Any kind, whichever the biggest
I'll get you
is.
the whole beans. It's more wholesome, more connoisseurish.
True. And any listeners out there, if they want to get me a really fancy bean grinder that can grind to a specific granule size, uh, as I was referencing earlier, feel free um, to give me that as a birthday present. I'd appreciate it.
I'll look into
So,
getting you a really cool coffee set for your birthday. Um,
really, really cool coffee setup. I would also like to get a French press that is bigger than this because this is only 3 cups, and oftentimes I'll make coffee for me, Alex, and Ian. So we only get 1 cup of coffee each.
gotcha,
Not very much.
gotcha.
I need a bigger one.
All
All
right,
right.
let's
Do you want to
side tangent here
discuss
from Children of the Corn 3 Urban
Lawnmower
Harvest.
Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace?
Yeah, next on the day after that, after I watched Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest on February 7th, on February 8th, I watched the sequel to The Lawnmower Man, uh, Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. This has even less to do with Stephen King. The
Nice.
best part of my Stephen King adaptations is when I look for the based on the short story by Stephen King, and I go, yes.
So this is a sequel to a movie that already was very dissimilar from the original
Yes,
story.
this was the furthest detached film on my Stephen King watch list. It was pretty boring as well. This was the sequel. Job, the main character. The main character is Pierce Brosnan. He's not in this movie at all. And the titular character, the Lawnmower Man, the actor was changed in this, and he was doing like a weird, over the top kind of Jim Carrey type of thing. It's like, ugh, you're doing like faces and stuff. Not memorable at all. Um, the CGI was a bit better. Wasn't as geometric, I guess. It was more bad green screen type CGI than geometric shapes. I would not recommend this at all. It was an original screenplay by this. I think the director was also wrote the screenplay, so at least you can commend that. I don't know if it was just a story he wanted to tell or what, but it was pretty boring.
This is an artistic vision from a writer director, is what you're trying to say.
It might be, yeah. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this at all. The first one was a good one-time watch. I would recommend if you're interested. But this one, you could pretty much skip
So
this one.
solid 0 time watch for this one.
Boring. Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10. It had a couple of okay parts. The best part was that Mr. Littman from Seinfeld, one of Elaine's bosses, was in it. So I enjoyed seeing him. Oh, and then I didn't mention that. I didn't even mention this, but in the Lawnmower One, Dean Norris was actually in it, of Breaking Bad fame. He was a lot younger in it. He was doing like this kind of evil villain accent. Kind of
Nice.
hard to do. It's like
Like that, like the voice you would do when we were like 5 and 8, and we would be playing with toys, and you would be the evil character.
not really. That was kind of a more of a gruntled voice, but Dean Norris's voice was a little calmer. He was doing like sort of British, but it's just kind of a strange accent, but it was pretty entertaining. But yeah, would not recommend Lawnmower 2 Beyond Cyberspace. And with that, I have checked off both Lawnmower Man films from my Stephen King watch list and will never look back.
Do you have this watch list printed out on a piece of paper, or is it
No,
just
I have a private letterbox list called Stephen King books and movies. Watch them. Pretty much whenever I finish a book, if there's an adaptation, I just add it to the list. This is mainly just a big pile of Children of the Corn movies and a few um, other night shift adaptations, as well as Carrie remakes. Because I should have watched the Carrie films back then. I'm really just going through this watch list because I'm really behind. I should have watched them as I read them along in night shift.
true?
Mhm.
Too late.
The only good ones I have in my list here are Stand By Me and Shawshank, which I'm holding off on because those are on my 100 poster watch list.
Nice.
Yeah,
There is a song from Stand By Me in my Mango Party playlist. Did you know that?
didn't know that. Don't know what the song that you're referring to either. Never seen it. I have heard the
It
book.
is
It's great.
Mr. Lee by the Bobettes.
Hmm.
So I didn't even know that was in the soundtrack, but I was singing it, and Mom recognized it, and I was surprised because it was like doo-wop from the 40s. She was like, "No, it's from the Stand By Me soundtrack."
Hmm.
So
Have you seen that film or no?
I saw it a long time ago with Mom. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a good movie. It's a classic, wholesome film, I would say.
Hmm. The novella was fantastic, as was Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption, which is one title, even though it says and. It makes
Ooh.
it sound like two
All
different
right.
titles.
Should we
Anywho,
discuss The Last
I'll discuss
Vampire
both
on
of them.
Earth?
Yeah. So after Lawnmower 2, Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace, which I watched on February 8th, on February 9th, I had my second bad movie night with Ben, which we have not had our third yet, but they are fun. The first one I watched The Room for the first time, Neil Breen's first film, Double Down, as well as um, Ben and Arthur, which I will not discuss other than mentioning that I watched them. They were all very entertaining. The second night I watched The Last Vampire on Earth and Alien from the Deep. We had a bit of a double feature. Both films talked about on Best of the Worst, of course, which is where I'm getting all these movies from. They did
Nice.
this as a spotlight episode with Colin, I believe. Rich, Mike, Jay, and Colin talked about this. It's a sort of Twilight knockoff, um, directed by Vitali Versace, of course. If you want to see a great discussion, very funny discussion, well edited, well talked about, go to redlettermedia.com and look up The Last Vampire on Earth, Best of the Worst Spotlight Edition. But this was pretty funny. I watched it on YouTube. It's available there for free. And
Nice.
480p or so, not the best quality, but for movies like this, I don't care too much about the quality as long as I can see what's happening. As long as it's not like 144p or something, I can actually see what's happening. It's not a
Mhm.
big deal if it's not in its perfect DVD quality. But
True.
this was quite
Well, I believe
entertaining.
DVD quality would be 480p, so.
I said 144p, unless I misspoke.
I thought you said it's not in its perfect DVD quality.
Yeah, on YouTube.
I thought you said it was in 480p.
Yeah. I was just saying I'm fine with it being a little worse quality. I mean, it might have been like a little. It always looks better on pure DVD because there's no kind of distortion or whatever.
Sure.
Like my wire DVDs I uploaded to YouTube, they look a lot worse, even though it's still in 480p. I think I upscale it with my MKV software. Those are pills. Is that
Yep.
B2 or do you have mental health medication now?
What?
Is that B2 pills or do you have mental health medication now?
Yeah, I'm on a lot of antipsychotics right now.
Oh
A
yeah.
shit ton.
Oh yeah.
No, it's gonna be
Vitamins.
B12 here, and then we also have uh I think vitamin D3, uh Claritin, off-brand Costco Claritin, and finasteride
That's
for
good.
my
Oh, I see.
hairline.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
No antipsychotics quite yet. Haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, this is just very entertaining. Very bad, of course. With the so bad it's good movies, I just don't give a rating. It is both simultaneously a 5-star and a 1-star, and it transcends rating in my opinion. So I just leave it blank. I give it a
Very
like though.
wise.
I give it a like though to signify that I enjoyed it. Um,
Nice.
it does not compare to Double Down or The Room, which are my two favorite bad movies currently. I think Double
Double
Down.
Down. I've never heard of that.
That's the Neil Breen's first film.
Oh, got it.
I would recommend watching Neil Breen with your buddies.
I don't think I could get them to watch Double Down.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I think they would probably enjoy it. It's a good time.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. I guess I don't have too much to say. Mike and Jay said it all. The AIDS stuff was very funny. There's a very. The acting is just terrible. The writing is bad. The plot
The
is.
guy in the poster looks like Bo Burnham.
He looks, I guess, a little like Bo Burnham. Not really. Or in the banner, he looks more like Bo Burnham, I guess. The poster, not so much. Um,
All right. Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. I agree with you in the banner, but not the poster. But that's Last Vampire on Earth. I would recommend it if you want to have a bad movie night.
All right. I will keep that. I'll store that away in the brain files for next time I want to have a bad movie night. The Last Vampire on Earth.
From
Looking
2002.
forward to watching it someday.
Awesome. After that, same night, we watched Alien from the Deep, which we rented for $2. the cheapest rental I've ever seen on YouTube. Usually it's a standard $4.
Yeah, that is very cheap.
This is so forgotten that they just put it for $2.
It was $1.99.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is from 1989. It is a Italian film dubbed into English as they do in Italy, how they make their movies. Um, Again, this was from a Best of the Worst episode, the Weird Things on the Left Hand Extravaganza, episode 30 something. Um, yeah, it's about these like environmentalist guys who or go to this faraway island somewhere. I forget, and they're just dumping nuclear stuff into a volcano for whatever
Mm.
bad typical corporate environmental destroyer type villain. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like the first half of the movie, there is no titular alien from the deep at all. It's more just kind of more of an adventure film. Um, the main character is this environmentalist woman who um, meets different men along the way. The first guy she's with gets kidnapped and she just leaves him. Then she meets another guy who is a snake charmer or something like that. No, he's not a snake charmer. He collects snake venom to make antidotes or something. Um, but the alien comes because the all the toxic waste that's been brewing attracts the alien, I think, and then he comes down to Earth, and that's when the movie gets pretty fun. It's a low budget, a true B movie. Vampire on Earth was it's not really a B movie per se. And nice, I mean it is. It's, all that means it's just budget movie, right? But it's like not a real movie. This is kind of a real movie. It has a budget. It has production value. Plenty of actors, but the miniatures are very obviously miniatures, especially the volcano. Rich Evans goes "ah" when he sees it in the Best of the Worst review. And of course, the titular alien from the deep is basically just a claw. It comes off screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this for like most of the film. The final appearance of the alien. It's a full scale model, and it's pretty fun. Um, Definitely, you can tell the budget is a lot lower than standard Hollywood films. Um, but not too memorable. The first time we watched it, it was like 2 in the morning at that point, and I fell asleep. I was like nodding off every minute or so, and I missed a lot of the plot. And then the next day, I woke up and said, I'm going to watch it again. And I watched the entire thing passively while cleaning my room, and I was able to follow the plot a lot better. Um,
Nice.
so I felt I should at least give the proper viewing to the film because there were plot points. I was like, what are they talking about? Like the tape. I didn't know what the tape was or what they needed it for, but after rewatching it, not falling asleep, I understood.
I don't know what the tape is. I don't know what the tape is.
It was evidence that the corporation was doing bad things to the environment, so that's why they wanted it
Ah.
a bit
All right.
bad.
So overall, it sounds like you gave this movie a 2.5 star rating, correct?
Gave it a 2.5 stars. Yeah, not too bad. Wasn't too boring. It was pretty entertained throughout it.
So really, it was a real movie. It was like, but it was just a low budget movie. It wasn't a movie made by just an insane guy with a lot of money.
Yeah, which is where the true fun bad movies come from. This one wasn't too bad. It was just a true B movie. Not cynical, which is gives it a lot lower rating. Uh, it's just kind of it was made, forgotten until Red Letter Media dug it up. I think, and
True.
that's why I watched it
That is why you watched it.
for my
All
second
right, Kevin.
bad movie night with Ben. I would rank it first bad movie night was better, second one was worse.
Are you doing only 2 movies every bad movie night?
The first one we did three, just because we kept going. I introduced the concept of watching a bad movie to Ben. He was kind of iffy at first. He said, but we watched The Room first. He loved it, and then he watched Ben and Arthur's second passively, and I was watching it. He was doing his homework, and then the next one he's like, "Let's do another one." I was kind of iffy on the idea at first, but these are very fun. So then we watched Double Down, and we were cracking up.
Did you guys drink beer just like how they do in Best the Worst?
Did not drink beer. I'm still sober.
Ah,
I was not drinking
nice.
anything. But however, I was a bit delirious. It was 2 in the morning, and I was having a fun time. I
Nice.
had this like second wind. I was feeling exhausted after Ben and Arthur, but then I revamped for Double Down. We were gonna try to have one on Friday night, but then I guess we just didn't. I was doing this, and then I just went to sleep after you hung up, and I edited the intro.
Mm.
Trying to have a more consistent schedule on the weekends because I always can't get to bed on Sunday nights.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. But that's Alien from the Deep.
Nothing more important than sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, Kevin, do you want to intersperse discussions of TV shows we might have watched this month in between movies, or do it all in one segment?
I think we can intersperse, especially since there's so many that I'm just going on and on about.
All right, that's what I was thinking. Well, we both
Some TV Time app here to.
we both watched The Bear this month, eh?
I finished The Bear back in 2023, but I would like to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about that. Yeah.
Well, I guess I watched The Bear this month,
Mm-hmm.
or at least finished watching it this month.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it with my roommates, and I had started it the first couple episodes because my friend Hector Dominguez recommended it to me. But then I sort of lost interest for a while, and then my roommates started watching it before I arrived back here from winter break, and they were just as many episodes into the show as I was when I arrived here in Chicago. And so they said, "Do you want to watch it?" And I said, "Sure." And so we watched the whole show together, and I think it's an excellent show. I think season 2 is definitely better than season 1, and I just find all of the characters to be really like soulful and
Mm-hmm.
kind of full of life and or realistic feeling. And I can't remember, is the cousin's name Richie?
Richie, yeah.
I think Richie's like arc character transformation throughout the show was awesome, and
Forks
love to see
episode,
it.
notably, is where a lot of his arc happens. The Forks episode where he goes and stages at the uh, the high end restaurant and just starts wiping forks.
Definitely,
It
that was
shows him
his like solo episode.
yeah, it shows him waking up earlier and earlier. Doesn't hit snooze anymore. Wakes up at like 5 sharp or something like that.
Yep,
He's like, you need the guy working with. He's like, you need to respect this place, and more importantly, you need to respect yourself.
true,
Really a turning point for him.
true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Episode's full of guest stars as well. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis, Britta from Community plays his ex wife. Bob
True.
Odenkirk. I mean, we can talk about the Christmas episode on its own. It's the what do you call it? The magnum opus of the show, in my opinion.
Oh, you think so?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Definitely a good flashback episode.
Yeah, that is a masterful episode, in my opinion. The whole thing. John Mulaney's character was great in that episode as well. It's nice to see him. You know, he looks healthy, happy now that he's sober off of his horrible
True.
cocaine addiction.
True.
About Unlinked and Baby J, which I also recommend. Great
Yeah,
show.
I recommend that too. I watched that. That was a great stand up.
Mm-hmm. Good for him. Yeah, the Christmas episode was just fantastic. John Bernthal, I really like him as Michael whenever he shows up in flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I love the season finale of season 1 too, and it shows all the characters, and it cuts to him looking back. It's the final shot. He's looking back in Carmi's memory after they find out the money in the spaghetti sauce.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a very heartwarming show. And I think the just relationship dynamics are very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And Also, I think it's cool that it's like all in Chicago, and I live in Chicago. So that's they definitely show a lot of shots of places where I have seen or have been. So
Mm-hmm.
makes it very cool.
Yeah, it's
But I would recommend watching it, and that's about all I have to say about the bear.
yeah. I could say a bit more. It's a like you were saying, it's very heartwarming, but it's also kind of nerve-shredding at times, especially the kitchen sequences. The one in season one where they mess up the online orders and they just keep coming and coming. It's a
True.
very Safdie Brothers esque. At least the one that I've seen is Uncut Gems, so I can't actually say a Safdie Brothers esque, but I just did. Um, Especially they say swear words every other sentence, and yet it's very and yell at each other and all that, and yet it's that's the way they show their love as well. It's very heartwarming, very warm and fuzzy feeling kind of show. Yet it's also very intense at times, very anxiety inducing for sure. Um,
True. It also feels a lot like how it feels to work at Vincenzo's,
mm,
or like a scaled up version of that, because obviously
yeah.
Vincenzo's isn't a real restaurant, but it can often feel that stressful when we're getting a ton of takeout orders and at the same time there's a bunch of people coming to dine in or something like that. I definitely I definitely understood the feeling of being stressed out, but it's also kind of fun when you're in that state because you just feel like kind of a bit of adrenaline, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Getting that kind of flow state.
Yep.
Time goes by quick.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoy the comedy a lot too. I think the season finale was great. Season two, um, especially when
Hmm.
I think what's his name, Marcus, the guy that makes desserts. He finds the guy smoking meth in the back of the alley. It's like,
Yep, that
I
was
think
funny.
I have to fire you, bro. But let me just go check. It's very funny. The comedy's great. I think all the characters are just great. Especially Tina's arc's great in the beginning. First couple episodes, she's really tough. But all the characters have, whenever they're kind of angry or kind of hesitant, it's all for the same reason. They don't want to change, and it's all just really well written. It all ties back to Michael. They all know him. And it's interesting that Sydney's character, she's kind of the only one that didn't really know Michael. She comes in, she doesn't have that same connection to him that everyone else does, and yet she becomes part of the family as well, of course.
True.
Yeah, really
Mm,
great show. The best show on TV right now, I think. I think they're filming season three right now. I believe it will release in June or so. So
wow.
same season,
Um,
same
yeah,
season.
I do believe they're filming season three right now, so I could probably go find Jeremy Allen White somewhere
Yeah.
here in Chicago, track him down, say
Mm-hmm.
hi to him.
Yeah.
Um, all right, well, yeah, the Bear. I also like the Bear's season two romance with the
With Chloe.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
And, anyways,
Would you
on
say
to
you have a favorite character you can think of?
probably Richie.
Richie. Gotcha.
Yep,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It kind of varies at times. Maybe Sydney. Um,
true.
I like Sydney and Tina's relationship a lot. It's very heartwarming. Get me teary eyed, especially when she asked to be her sous chef. I think
Yeah.
one of the later episodes of season two. But yeah, can't wait for season three. I think they could probably do one or two more seasons and tell a great story and end it there. I think.
Yep, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All
Highly
right.
recommend.
Now, shall we discuss what film we watched on February 11th?
Sure. On February 11th, I watched Dinner in America, which seems like I'm doing two watch alongs currently, doing Stephen King and Red Letter Media. Decided to join my own solo Red Letter Media film club. I'm a $5 tier patron now, so I get updates whenever they update the films. So I knew they were going to talk about this movie before they posted it, even though I didn't watch
Mm.
it until they posted it. And once they did, I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch the film before I watch the talk about. And this one was really good. Another similar to the bear kind of. It's full of very harsh language, full of lots of vulgar scenes, and yet it was very heartwarming. I teared up a little bit, got kind of chills. The scene where they were making the song. Did you watch their talk about? Did you see this at all? Another video?
No, I didn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was like a 30 minute Mike and Jay talk about video. Um, but it's basically about this very angsty um, punk rocker guy, played by the what is it, Michael Gallagher, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kyle Gallner, not the same thing, but close.
Mm-hmm.
They did a triple feature back in late 2023, mid to late 2023. It actually got posted when I was visiting you in Chicago and you were starting school. This was kind of a unofficial follow up to that, their fourth film, talking about him. But he's a good actor. It was really funny. Basically, it's a punk love story, as they say in the title, the tagline. Um, yeah, lots of vulgar language, vulgar scenes, but really fun. It's the punk rocker is kind of like this very underground indie punk band, and the other main character, the love interest, the girl, is like her biggest his her his yeah his their biggest fan, his biggest fan. His stage name is John Q, and she takes pictures of herself in her underwear and sends them to John Q and writes letters to him. She's like obsessed, and then just by fate they end up meeting each other. I mean, they live in a pretty small town. It's like Midwestern. I think they live in Ohio or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
very kind of suburban, desolate, kind of simple town, and he's just filled with all this angst. And the music was really good. I'm not really into hardcore punk rock music like that. Really, the only rock music I like is kind of classic rock, soft rock, 70s, 80s type of thing. Not really into that kind of hardcore like Rage Against the Machine stuff. I don't like them. So I was kind of worried there was going to be a lot of that music, but there wasn't. So made it a lot more enjoyable too. The soundtrack was kind of more like bass and drums, kind of like electronic kind of. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, their relationship was really fun. They grow to care about each other as it goes along. It was really funny too. I ended up kind of at the beginning. I was like, this is just what is this? This is just completely over the top, really vulgar. But it really wins your heart. What is it? Wins you over as it goes along. And by the end of the movie, I was like, this is definitely a great movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. Um, yeah, the scene where they make their own song together got me emotional. When she started singing, it was really cool. And of course, gave it an extra bump is that "My Kind of Woman" by Mac DeMarco played during the arcade song,
Nice.
where they really start to kind of fall in
He's
love and spend
mine.
some really good time together. And you see him smiling and he's happy. Usually he's just all angsty. But
Mm.
I would recommend it overall. It's definitely not for everyone. I don't think our mom would like it, um, but you probably would. Wins you over, like I said. The humor is very over the top. There's a scene where they get back at the bullies by dumping a dead cat on their unconscious, knocked out bodies. Real gross stuff.
Nice.
Really fun. And that is Dinner in America, a 2020 film available on Hulu. They kind of talked about it because it just gets buried in the sea of streaming, like they always talk about. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it. And then, of course, I have enjoyed watching their video as well. They just have a way of talking about movies that is just so great. It's really
That's
really
fantastic,
great.
Kevin. Glad you enjoyed Dinner in America.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good movie. Sounds like I would like it. On Hulu, it looks like, so
Yep.
definitely conceivable that I could watch it.
Yep.
Now, let's see. After dinner in America, Kevin, you watched the film Creepshow, correct?
Correct. Another Stephen King movie. However, this one
Oh
is not
wow.
an adaptation. This is his first original screenplay. Um, Learned a lot more about it after watching the review. I watched this one with Ben, and I also watched the review with him afterwards, which I was happy that he wanted to watch it with me. Josh and Jay talked about this one, and lots of insight. I think it was a collaborative effort between George Romero and Stephen King. They were good friends, I guess, and they wanted to make a movie together. George Romero directed this. Stephen King wrote the screenplay. His first original
Wow.
his first original screenplay of about a small handful of screenplays that he's done. But this is an anthology horror film, very stylized. There's lots of very fun lighting, especially the moments where like a monster is revealed. All the whole screen turns like kind of backlit and blue. It's really cool the way they do it. Very stylized. It's based on old kind of creep. I forget the series of comic books they're kind of attributing, but it's definitely
Inspired by the EC comics of the 1950s?
yes. You said it. You said it. It's very comic booky kind of pop colors. A lot of the intense moments, but it's a anthology horror film consisting of 5 different stories. Each were very entertaining. I think the first one was my least favorite. Um, the first one was about a zombie that comes back and haunts his family. I think the second one might have been the Ted Danson one with Leslie Nielsen is the only dramatic role that I've seen him in. I guess he used to be known for dramatic stuff before he became the Naked Gun airplane guy, which is what I know
Mm.
him as. But he's kind of a real nasty villain in this one, and he buries Ted Danson in sand. They come back as bloated zombie water monsters. Um, the last one was Cockroaches with E.G. Marshall, I believe his name is. Who I didn't recognize at first, but he is the guy from 12 Angry Men with the glasses. So after I realized that, I was like, love that character. Um, can't remember the other ones. Oh, and then the crate was about a monkey guy, this monkey monster who eats everybody. That one was the longest. I think it clocks in about 35, 40 minutes or so. That was the longest by far.
Wow.
That's the fourth one, and the fifth one is the wrap up with the cockroaches with 12 Finger Men guy. It's very enjoyable. And then there's also a kind of I don't know if framing device is the right term, but it starts with this kid who's reading the comic books, and it goes into each of the comic book stories, and then it ends with the same kid, and kind of wraps up his story. Um, but yeah, it was really enjoyable. I think it's just a little under 2 hours or 2 hours or so. And after the movie was released, they made a comic book as well, which I think is just I haven't read it yet, but I would like to. Um, the comic is um, just kind of just frame by panel, just a recreation of the story, I believe. Oh, and then of course, I think the only other one I didn't mention is um, the one starring Stephen King. He plays a really kind of dumb, kind of hick, kind of middle of nowhere kind of southern guy who stumbles upon this meteor. I think this one might be my favorite, most enjoyable, especially since Stephen King was in it. But he stumbles upon this meteor that starts making him have fur and moss grow all over him, and it slowly just takes him over, and he becomes this fur monster. And then
Wow.
at the end, you see the fur moss is growing past his door, past his house, and it started grow throughout the neighborhood, and you see it kind
My
of.
God.
So it's a street sign, and you see, wonder how far will it grow? And it
It's
was
going to take over the entire world.
that's the implication, yeah. But it was nice. So the street signs is like this town that way, and then it said Castle Rock. Put it at Castle Rock, which is of course the fictional town that Stephen King creates, where Stand by Me takes place in, as well as Dead Zone and part of Dead Zone and Cujo, which you know the lore goes real deep. You don't even know how deep. That's why I love Stephen King so much. The lore is crazy. It's all connected. All things serve the being.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the Moss one was the only one based on a short story. It's based on a short story called something from Night Shift as well. But in that short story, this kind of abusive dad just sits on his ass and drinks beer all day, and one of the beers he gets is kind of off. It's like spoiled or something. Tastes weird, and he becomes a big, gross monster. Same concept. It starts to just slowly grow on him, and then just encapsulate him, and he becomes this blob monster.
Hmm.
The same implication at the end of how far will this blob take over the world. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it was really entertaining. I enjoyed it. I have it on DVD. Mason's dad gave it to me, and it says property of Warner Archive or something.
Hmm.
The label makers.
Did Mason's dad restore Creepshow?
I don't think so. I mean, it was a older DVD. Kind of looked like a pre-Blu-ray type of DVD. Um, he works on restoring stuff for like 4K and stuff. So I don't think he restored that one.
True.
But yeah, I would also recommend, especially over all the other Stephen King ones I watched. This one is very entertaining, very spooky movie, especially for Halloween times. It's 5 movies, 5 stories within the movie. So if you're getting bored of one, like Jay said in the video, another one's right around the corner in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. So it was really
True.
entertaining. The stylized part of it was really made it stand out from what it could have been just a kind of a boring, not boring, but kind of a more simple anthological film. But yeah, all the backlighting, the colors made it really stand out. It was really great. Gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Sounds like a fantastic film, Kevin. I'll have to watch it.
Yep, that was Creepshow.
All
So
right.
what is your next one? The 16th, right?
My next film is not until the 15th.
Just rambling here. All right, man. So I actually have 2 more I could cover. Guess we can do one more. We'll talk about this one quickly, and then maybe talk about another TV show. Um,
All right, sounds good.
but my next film I watched the day after Creepshow. I watched on February 13th. I watched Sometimes They Come Back, dot dot dot, again, which is the sequel to Sometimes They Come Back, which is an adaptation of the short story Sometimes They Come Back from Night Shift, once again,
By Stephen King.
by Stephen King. Yes.
Got
Uh,
it.
the short story is about this teacher who I think moves back to his small hometown, and his brother was killed by some bullies, and the bullies ended up dying. I think that same day or soon after as well. And now he's an adult. Comes back to his hometown with his wife, and the bullies slowly some students in his class start dying and getting replaced by the very bullies that used to torment him as a kid. It's pretty loose on why that's happening, but a lot of the short stories are pretty loosely horror. It doesn't really go into why it's happening, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a fun story that's happening. Um, but yeah, that's the plot of the short story as well as the first film. The second film is another completely standalone, similar concept, but the characters from the first film are not present at all. In the sequel, um, in this one, I think, yeah, it's his the main character's older sister was killed back when he was a kid, and part of a much more darker, satanic, ritualistic type of murder instead of just typical pull out a switchblade type of bullies. They were just completely real Satan worshippers this time around. Their goal was to kill the girlfriend, sacrifice her. I think she was a virgin as well, so classic blood of the virgin type of satanic ritual. She ends up dying in the first one in his memory when he was a kid, and but the the main character as a kid, ends up taking him down. He electrocutes him. They're in this like kind of like coal mine type of area, I think it is, and they're standing in water, and he ends up electrocuting the water, and that obviously takes him out. But then similar concept. Now he's an adult. He has a daughter played by Hilary Swank, which is the first role I've seen her in. I of course only know of her from the Office episode, where they talk about if she's hot or not. And in this one, I would say she's hot. In the image that they showed of her in the Office episode, I would say she's not hot, but that's probably because she's a little older now. But she was definitely hot in this movie, so I would side with that team in the Office.
Got it.
I think it was Kevin's opinion that she was not hot, and Jim said she was. But anyways, the bullies are back once again. This time they want to try to kill his daughter. She's also a virgin, so they want to sacrifice her virgin blood. And for their own demonic purposes, I think they will live forever if they successfully accomplish that. I watched this one on my phone at work. I was about to. I had about an hour left in my shift when my relief contacted me and asked if I would be able to stay an extra 2 hours because they had some personal business to attend to. So I said, sure, that's fine. So I ended up just putting on that movie. I was going to watch it at home anyways, but then I wouldn't have time to do that if I wanted to watch my show and exercise, as is my usual routine once I get home. So I watched the movie at work on my phone on flixhd.cc. So wasn't the best situation environment to watch a movie, but honestly, it's not too bad. I had my headphones in. The screen looked pretty good. It's not cracked anymore, so movies look good on my phone now. The only problem was there was a glare, but I've now figured out how to eliminate the glare. As I keep working there, I figure out the optimal way to enjoy my shift. But the main actor was, the main villain was cool. He's kind of like a little creepy guy. He was also in Pulp Fiction, and then I found out that they transitioned into a woman. Just a little tidbit. So she was a good villain. But then she died of AIDS. But anyway, that is Sometimes They Come Back. ... Again. I still have Sometimes They Come Back. Dun dun dun. Something.
For more?
Yeah, for more. That's the third one in the Sometimes They Come Back trilogy. Still have that one to watch. So next month I will talk about that, I guess.
All right, and I cannot wait to hear about Sometimes They Come Back for more next month.
Yeah. Overall, it wasn't too bad. I don't think it was a bad movie. It was pretty entertaining for the most part. It got a little boring at times, but I would recommend it. There's lots of better horror movies you can watch out there, but if you are a Stephen King fan, if you've read the short story, not too bad of a movie. You can watch it up by itself as well. It doesn't have anything to do really with the first film. Gave it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Nice. Solid score. All right, now should we discuss another television show?
Yeah, let's. I don't know if I can go off my list or you can. I've just been.
Go ahead, discuss. So. Yeah.
Well, I guess just looking at my TV time here, I guess I can just talk about Dragon Ball, which I've been watching when I go to the gym. It's just great. I finished Dragon Ball now. I'm on Dragon Ball Z now. But in February, I was just wrapping up the last arc, the second tournament arc where he fights Piccolo Jr. But yeah, Goku is just a really great character. He's just full of positivity. He's naive and just really funny, and kind of inspired me to start working out, honestly, because Goku just loves exercising and training and growing stronger, and I just imagine him looking at me and going, "Why don't you like that?" And then I go, "You're right, Goku." And him and his buddy Kuririn just love.
Udadine?
Kuririn, yes, that's how it is pronounced. In the American English version dubbed, it's pronounced Krillin, but that's for the plebeians. The proper way to pronounce it is Kuririn.
Got it.
But yeah, great show. The battles in the last arc were really entertaining. It's like a 4 episode long battle of him between him and Piccolo. It gets really violent towards the end. He's coughing up blood. It starts with him as a kid. The last season he's now an 18-year-old, so he's all grown up. Pretty much the Goku that you know is present instead of Kid Goku. But I do miss Kid Goku now that he's an adult in Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, it's a great battle, really engaging. I think all the characters are really great. It's a really heartfelt show. Master Roshi is still a pervert, and they just kind of laugh it off. Especially in the earlier episodes when Bulma's like 15 and he's like, "Can I touch your breasts?" It's a little weird. There's lots of weird pervy stuff, not just in Dragon Ball, but in anime in general.
Yeah, that sounds a little weird, Kevin.
Yeah, but it's kind of just you just brush it off and move on. It's just kind of accepted that Master Roshi is just hopelessly a pervert, and they just kind of laugh about it. So is Oolong. And then the last 5 episodes, it ends on episode 148, and then, of course, I don't know how much you know about anime, but animes are based on the mangas almost all the time. I'm not sure how many original animes there are, but they're almost always based on the manga of the same name. And how they kind of work is the writer of the manga releases them as they go along, and then the anime makes its own show. And they just go off the source material. So whenever they're kind of catching up too much to the anime, they do what's called filler episodes, and they just kind of make their own kind of side stories that don't necessarily affect the ongoing story. And so the last 5 episodes I watched were just kind of its own. Were the wedding, kind of mini wedding arc of Goku and Chi-Chi. Once they get married, they're trying to find the MacGuffin to put out this big raging fire back at Chi-Chi's home, so they can save her wedding dress. So those last 5 episodes were, give or take, but that's just what filler is. A lot of people just skip the filler. I go along and watch it. A lot of them are pretty entertaining. Still, even the one I just watched today, Dragon Ball Z, was a little boring. I could skip them if I want, but I enjoy watching them too. Spend more time with the characters that you love. However, they are not officially canon, as you would say.
So you watched the entire show?
Yep, I just finished it mid February. I've been watching it since maybe back in July or August of 2023.
Wow, that was a big undertaking.
Yeah, 153 episodes. They're 20 minutes long, 24 minutes long.
So is Goku your favorite character?
In Dragon Ball, yeah, he is. In all of anime. In Dragon Ball Z, my favorite character is probably Vegeta. He's just really well written. The two best written characters I think are Piccolo and Vegeta, and then Goku. Goku is just really fun and great. But in terms of like nuances and character arcs, Piccolo and Vegeta take the cake on that one. But yeah, my typical routine is I go to the gym and just put on an episode and watch it while I'm on the treadmill. I go on a 12 incline at 3 miles an hour.
Nice.
Just doing one episode. I need to ramp back up to 2. I was doing 2 for a while.
Sounds like a good system for exercise.
Yeah, it makes it really tolerable and enjoyable. I feel accomplished at the end of my exercise. Although I need to definitely ramp it up because it's not. Don't burn that many calories. I burn about 200, so need to double that.
True.
I might start doing one episode of Dragon Ball Z and one episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Nice.
Just put on one episode of that today. Enjoyed it. So if I start watching that, we could talk about that next month. But that's Dragon Ball. Now I'm watching Dragon Ball Z, which is technically just still Dragon Ball. The manga is just called Dragon Ball, but they split it up in the anime for marketing, I guess. or just for I don't know what reason, but yeah. So now we're in the Dragon Ball Z arc. It gets a lot more intense. Dragon Ball, for the most part, on its own, is just more funny, more cartoony. Um, there's some meta humor as well, especially in the manga. Makes it pretty fun. But yeah, that's Dragon Ball. My favorite anime.
Wow, favorite anime, huh?
Hmm.
So does this mean you're finally going to return those DVDs to Noreen?
She has them back. Gave her
She's
back.
got them back?
Gave them back quite a while ago. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. I
Didn't
used to.
know.
I used to watch. I was watching Dragon Ball back when I was like a freshman in high school. Over that summer between mid 8th grade and 9th grade, I was watching Dragon Ball. I believe I watched the first 60 or so episodes. Um, but I
I remember that.
started it from the beginning again. Watched in Japanese this time. I was watching the English dub the first time, which is just terrible. The voice acting's atrocious.
Ugh, absolute shit.
The Japanese version is much better though. I love Goku's voice actor, especially as a kid. Whenever he gets hurt, he goes. It's really cute.
Nice.
Goku's such a cute kid, and now he's a real fun adult too. But he's still cute the way he acts. But he's also really powerful. He's the strongest guy on earth.
Nice.
Well, not
Really powerful.
but he becomes strong.
All right, now that was a good discussion of Dragon Ball. I probably won't be watching it anytime soon,
Yeah.
just because there's only so many hours in the day. But sounds like it could be a good show for those looking for a new anime to watch. Me, is Avatar: The Last Airbender technically an anime?
It would not be considered an anime, although it is inspired by it and has a lot of Eastern martial arts inspiration and stuff like that. But it
True.
is an American show produced by Nickelodeon with American voice actors, so it would not be considered an anime.
Yeah, well, I've been watching
So it's
that,
kind of
but
anime adjacent. Yeah, we can go into that if you want, because I've also seen that. Watched it, I believe, back in 2022. I watched the whole show.
yeah, well, we can only discuss the first season, though, is the thing.
That's fine.
The first season of
Refresh
Avatar: The
me.
Last Airbender, I thought was great. I've been watching this show with my roommate supposed to be every night, but sometimes we miss nights. But fairly often, we've gone through the first.
Netflix.
We are watching it on Netflix. Yes.
Nice. And of course, we're talking about the original cartoon, not the new remake, which I have not seen or probably
Yes.
will not
Correct.
watch. I have interest in.
But so far, I have enjoyed the story. I think it's a very kind of moral story, and I think that Aang is a very morally righteous, good character who is trying his best to save the world. And he's also just kind of entertaining and funny because he's also, at the same time, he's still only like 10. But I really enjoy seeing Aang get his powers more and more. I like Sokka's character as well, voiced by
I think
Chris Smith.
Oh yeah, no, I think Mitchell Musso did it in like the unaired pilot or something, the original show they were doing. But yeah, they remade it. Mitchell Musso of Pair of Kings fame, right?
Mitchell Musa, I don't know who that is.
He's a Disney Channel star. You would recognize him. I think he plays Jeremy from Phineas and Ferb.
Mitchell Musso.
I
Yeah,
think he played Sokka in
this
Legend of
guy
Korra.
played the bird in that movie, right?
What movie?
Hatching Pete.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. I don't think I saw that one, but yeah, he was a Disney Channel teen heartthrob guy back in the 2000s.
Yeah, well anyways, I just really liked Avatar so far. I can't wait to see Aang get his earthbending powers and then eventually his firebending powers so he can become the fully realized Avatar.
Yeah.
And I look forward to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, right. I don't remember it too well, But yeah, season 1 he gets trained by Katara, right? He learns his water bending.
Yes, Katara, they go to the South Pole and Katara gets trained, or they go to the North Pole, I think, and Katara gets trained, and then Katara ends up training Aang.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Prince Zuko? And my favorite character is Uncle Iroh. I think he's just a really, really great character.
I
Prince Zuko is
like
too.
I like Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
I like Uncle Iroh's character. I think he's a funny, gregarious man. I think Prince Zuko is a very kind of sympathetic character,
Mm-hmm.
just because he just wants his father's approval,
Mm-hmm.
but his father likes his daughter more.
Yeah. Did you meet? I forget her name, but yeah, Zuko's sister. Have you really met her yet?
Just recently, just like the past episode.
Yeah, she's a good character. They're all really well written. Really, really mature children's show.
I agree. Very like intense, also an epic feeling. Um, when they battle. The battle at the end of season 1 was very exciting, intense, and definitely felt like a worthy season finale.
Don't remember the battle. Who was he battling?
The Fire Nation was attacking the Water Nation, and then the commander Zhao stole the moonfish out of the pond, and the moon disappeared.
Don't
And
remember.
then Aang stole the ocean fish and became the power of the ocean instilled within him. You don't remember that?
I don't.
All right,
I'll have
well,
to rewatch it. Yeah.
it's all right. Let's move on to Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering.
Nice. Are you planning to watch Korra after Avatar?
Probably not.
Yeah, I haven't seen Korra yet. I think I might try to rewatch Avatar and then watch Korra next. Korra takes place, I think, like 80 years after Avatar ends. She's the next Avatar after Aang.
Wow.
But anyway, would you like a oh god, I can't remember anyone's name. Appa, would you like an Appa plush toy for your birthday?
No, thank you.
It'd be cuddly though, right? What about a pillow pet?
No, thanks.
All right. Rather have coffee beans?
Yes.
More practical?
Yes.
Nice. I get you. All right. Well, great discussion of two great heartfelt animated shows. One from Japan, one from America. Both martial arts oriented.
True?
So yeah, let's move on to Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering, which I did not like really at all. Gave it a 1.5 stars out of 5. Not sure if it was me. I was kind of not paying too much attention, but it wasn't really following the plot at all. It was quite boring. Um, yeah, it's like there was no corn in it at all. Especially the third one, there was like
No corn?
so much corn. The younger kid was growing corn out of his kind of a backyard area in the apartments. But there was just like hardly any corn, I don't think at all in the fourth one. Um,
Yeah.
don't really have much to say. I would not recommend this one. I think the third. I think it peaked. I think it will have peaked at the third film. Fourth film was not really good at all. I have not seen the fifth one yet, but I don't remember the fourth one at all, even though I watched it just 2 weeks ago, the 14th. That's really all I have to say. Didn't really enjoy it at all. 3.5 stars. Didn't go any lower. I'm not really sure how my ratings to go, but I think anywhere below 1 star is just like atrocious, cynical as well, produced for purely bad reasons, I guess. Stuff like those um, those parody movies, like 41-Year-Old Virgin, just pure shit, you know.
Definitely. I know.
One at least had production value, had a plot,
True.
but just just wasn't enjoyable. Really, pretty boring.
All right, well, it sounds like I'll avoid that one in the future.
Mm-hmm. But I checked out
Um,
Letterboxd. That's the only reason I watched it. I've been watching these all with Ben for some reason. We've just kind of unofficially started having a watch along together. I watch all the other
Does-
ones by myself, but we've been watching Children of the Corn together, kind of memeing about the corn. And now he pulls up Corn Hub every so often. Are you familiar with Corn Hub?
he porns up Corn Hub?
He pulls up Corn Hub. Do you know about Corn Hub?
Yeah, I know about Corn Hub.
Yeah,
I attended high school.
the parody website of course, the pornographic website. They just show pictures of
Yes, popular online porn website Pornhub, but instead of porn, it's just pictures of corn.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. He pulls
But
it
it's
up.
programmed to look exactly like the said website,
Yeah,
said pornographic website.
yeah.
So I will not be watching Children of the Corn 4 anytime soon.
Yeah, I would avoid it. So that was the 14th. Is it your turn now? See, I watched.
Well, I have a film here I watched on the 15th.
Awesome.
This movie was called Babies, and just picture a nature documentary, but
Bebés, it says.
we're the subjects. Babies.
Bebés.
Babies are the
French?
subject. What?
Was it French? Yeah, it says French. It says Bebés was the French title.
Well, yeah, the movie doesn't have a language. Yeah, there's
Oh,
no.
interesting.
Yeah, I guess it is French. Yeah, French documentary.
There was no.
There's no
dialogue?
narration.
No narration, no dialogue.
It is just raw audio of the babies making noises, interacting with their environment, standing up, crawling. There's a couple moments like where they did a montage of all the babies learning to crawl at the same time, and then they did a montage of all the babies standing at the same time. But it's 4 different babies from across the world, and it's literally just footage of babies for 79 minutes. The only reason I watched this film is because I am in a class called Human Development Across the Lifespan, and we were discussing babies. And our teacher showed this movie to us, and I had to take notes on it. And mostly it was just to observe developmental milestones for babies. But it was pretty interesting. And I would probably not recommend it, though, just because not that interesting, but for what it was, I mean, at least I got to observe how babies work. Babies are interesting. They're like little versions of humans, but they haven't quite figured out how to operate properly yet. So it is interesting to observe them for almost an hour and a half.
Who was your favorite baby? Was it Ponchao, Bayar, Mari, or Hattie?
Probably the African baby.
The African baby.
I don't know his name,
Gotcha.
but yeah.
Opoyo, Namibia, the country, city in the country. Ponijao,
Yeah, maybe.
the top baby looks like. Very cute. Interesting. Yeah. Not for a film class. It was just for separate. Was it part of your history major?
No, it's for a human development class.
Which is part of your history major or just side class?
Part of my, because I want to become a history teacher, so
Uh-huh.
it's an education class.
Gotcha. Cool. Interesting.
Also, just a subject I'm interested in. But anyways, now you have to discuss Trucks and Hamilton.
Yeah, all right. Well, Trucks is another Stephen King adaptation from the title of the same name from Night Shift. It is about trucks that come to life. I think it's loosely explained some sort of like alignment in the stars and the orbit and whatnot makes the trucks come to life. But basically follows a small group of characters that wind up trapped at a kind of
Truck stop?
yeah, roadside truck stop diner type of thing. Um, and the trucks just kind of circle them. They're all trapped inside, and I thought the short story was pretty fun. It's a pretty silly concept, um, but I think the they kind of did it interestingly. like the trucks start communicating in Morse code with their horns, and they
Mm.
communicate like they all start lining up to get diesel, and the humans just start pumping them with diesel, and so they can keep living. And I think the end of the story, just like the internal monologue of the character, is like, we're just gonna keep being their slaves. We're gonna work at truck factories and keep making more trucks, because if we don't, they're just gonna run us over. Um, this version of the film was pretty boring. Um, it was a much more faithful adaptation of the Stephen King short story. The best part was this little toy like RC truck uh, killed a mailman. He like kept ramming into his leg. He's like, "Ow!" And then he ended up knocking him over with a few rams, like this tiny
Nice.
little like toy truck. And then he ends up like falling over, and then the truck, once he's on the floor, rams into his face over and over. He's like, "Ugh!" And he starts bleeding more and more, and then he dies.
Wow, that's
That was the
crazy.
best scene by far. It was really
That's
really
crazy.
really silly. But
You think that guy would be able to defend himself better, right?
I know it's just ridiculous. I would not really recommend Trucks. However, I would recommend Maximum Overdrive, which is the other adaptation of Trucks, which is the only film Stephen King has ever directed. It was an original screenplay from him based on his own short story. This was during his horrible coke addiction era, where he just, instead of just trucks coming to life, pretty much all electronics come to life. The best scene from that movie is when a vending machine comes to life and lobs soda cans at a group of t-ball players. Ends up killing one of the coaches with a can. Keeps hitting him in the head, and all the kids scatter. But I would recommend Maximum Overdrive. It's a very fun one. Notable being the only film Stephen King ever directed. But Trucks, not so much. It was a little boring.
Trucks is not the best, let's just say.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd.
4 out of 5 stars, pretty good actually, I guess.
I mean, I mean a 2 out of 5 stars. I was thinking 4 out of 10, but I meant 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I know. I'm just janking your chain.
Yeah, you were just janking my game.
Just yep.
What did I say that one time? Jerking your nuts or something?
Just you said I'm just trying to tickle your balls a little bit.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Trucks would not recommend. Let's see, the 15th.
Speaking of tickling balls, I watched Lolita.
Oh, but I haven't talked about Hamilton though. The 15th.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. I forgot. Hey Fei Hung, what's up?
I guess you
Envelopes? I do have envelopes. Yes. Like this type of envelope?
yeah, just like that. I don't have to bind it to card it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I got plenty.
It's just in my life. File my tax form and ship it to the IRS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. No problem.
Cool. What a generous guy giving away envelopes like that.
Yeah, that was my sweet mate Fei Hong. He's from Beijing, and he apparently needs an envelope so he can file his taxes.
Gotcha.
He's going to send his taxes in an actual envelope to the IRS.
Wow. Old school.
All right, yes, please discuss Hamilton.
Yeah, but Hamilton, of course, everyone knows Hamilton. I around the last month or so, I kind of just popped into my head to listen to the original Broadway recording soundtrack. I have not really thought about Hamilton or listened to it since back in when it got released. That's kind of the cap of my Hamilton love. Me and Ben, John, and Adam used to, and Mason when he was there, we used to. It was our kind of go-to fun time to get in my car, put on the Hamilton CD, and listen to the whole thing and assign ourselves parts. We would go down Soledad Canyon Road, I believe. It's a really long drive, that full drive all throughout. Goes into the dirt road past that family camp, then it goes on connects us to Sierra Canyon. It was like an hour-long drive or so. We would put that on, assign ourselves parts, and the last time we did that was the same night that Benjan got hospitalized because of our foolishness. So that was
Nice.
last time visited Hamilton. I did. But it just popped into my head. I was like, I kind of just popped into my head to listen to it. And for the first song, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cringy. But then as I kept listening, especially once we get to Right Hand Man, and the motifs start to come into play, the little musical motifs and the lyrical motifs and stuff, I was like, I remember why I like this. And I listened to Act 1 that day, and then the next day I listened to Act 2. As I drove to the Walmart in Saratoga Springs to buy my Wire DVD collection, complete series. It was not available in the Orem store, but it was available about 25-minute drive away from me. So
Nice.
yeah, so
It wasn't available at Second and Charles.
No, they have the last couple seasons available, but not the complete series.
You got the complete series on Blu-ray?
On DVD, yeah. On Blu-ray, see, the reason I bought it on DVD is because it was shot in 4:3. It was released in 2002, so everyone had mostly CRT TVs back then. And they remastered it in Blu-ray quality in 16:9. That was the way I watched it on Max. I watched it all streaming in 16:9 in HD, but it was originally shot in 4:3. It kind of did
Got it.
zoom in. David Simon, the creator, was involved with the remastering. However, I think the first three were originally completely shot and framed in 4:3. I think the last two seasons were also had the footage in 16:9. So those ones are a little bit more, it's okay, purist speaking, David Lynch purist speaking, to watch it in the HD. But the first three seasons were exclusively in 4:3. So I bought all the DVDs instead of the Blu-rays so I could have them in their original intended quality. And
Nice.
it looks great. I just am a fan of the 4:3 aspect ratio. Love the square ratio. That's what Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are into. So it's another cherry on top of the show. But anyways, I was talking about Hamilton. So after I listened to the Broadway recording, I was like, I should watch the Disney Plus show this weekend. But I didn't. And about 3 weeks after that, I eventually sat down and watched it. And I watched most of Act 1 by myself. I was enjoying it, kind of singing along, enjoying the choreography and whatnot. Getting actually to see it. And then for Act 2, my two roommates, Kirby and Jason, came home, and they had I think a 12-pack of a certain beer. I forget the name of, like Stella Artois, I think, something like that.
Stella Artois?
I think it was that, yeah. I think they had some Stellas, and they were just drinking that. They were just kind of chatting, and then Ben eventually came back out. He was gonna go to bed and watch a movie in his room, I guess, while I was watching Hamilton. But then it kind of got more social. He came back outside, sat on the couch, and played Clash Royale while I watched the second half of Hamilton, and didn't really mind. Typically, if they were watching a movie, I probably would have paused it and just put on something else. But I'd already seen Hamilton twice now. I know all the lyrics and everything, so I was just kind of more watching it just for the visuals anyway.
True.
Yeah, it's really great. I think Lin-Manuel should have not been in it. He's a lyrical musical genius, I think, but not the best singer, not the best actor either. And he really stands out next to Chris Jackson and Leslie Odom Jr. and Philippa Sue and all those great talented performers and singers. He really just does not keep up with them, I think. However, it still is good, and I honestly, even though I don't like him really in it, I don't imagine anyone else in it. For some reason, it just kind of works, even though I think he should probably not be in it.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Kevin, which is I feel like Lin-Manuel Miranda delivers an iconic performance
You think
as
so?
Hamilton, just with his signature singing voice.
It is pretty iconic. He is a great rapper, but maybe Hurricane a whole solo.
In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet.
Yeah, I mean he hits the notes and everything. He obviously is a musical genius, but the tone at least is, I don't know. But like I said, it also is iconic, like you said. But that's my one criticism, but also it's not really a criticism. Kind of just works. Um, but I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I think it doesn't quite reach the 5-star threshold. It is still a bit kind of still a bit cringy. Some of the lines make me kind of cringe sometimes, but for the most part,
Like what lines in specific?
well, I mentioned this actually when in our previous podcast, our weekend film, which this is our month in film, which is a separate podcast.
The now defunct podcast, Our Week in Film.
Yes, I was talking about it when that was the one Mason was on. Especially the whole "Meet Me Inside" song, especially, is probably pretty cringy. It just feels like he's just kind of trying to cram in the callbacks and motifs sometimes. When he says, "Lee, do you yield? You shot him in the side. Yes, he
Yes, he
yields."
yields. I'm satisfied.
It's like kind of just crams in the satisfied thing like that kind of. And he says, "Yo, we won." Just kind of cringy the way he says, "Yo, we won," kind of.
Yeah, but it's so much fun to sing, though.
It is. It is. I know.
Yo, we won.
I love rapping along to the whole thing. But then, for those kind of cringy parts like Right Hand Man, The Battle of Yorktown, those songs just go so hard, Especially when Hercules Mulligan comes out. Really great.
True.
I tell the spying on the British government. I wish they would just not put it censored first when he says Southern Democratic mother effing Republicans. And he says Hercules Mulligan, I need an introduction. When you knock me down, I get the fuck back up again. They censor it. It doesn't go as hard. They should not censor it.
That sucks.
I don't know why. I know they have mature content on Disney now, so that's a whatever. I really like King George as well. Jonathan Groff's performance is very unhinged. It's not really as unhinged. The lyrics are, but like his facial expressions and his whole mannerism is really just psychotic. And the stage show on Disney Plus, I think. The Reynolds pamphlet's also very fun. It's fun to see King George gets a lot more time on the stage than just his 3 songs. Because the Reynolds pamphlet, he's just kind of like enjoying the fact that Hamilton is under all this controversy. It's very fun. Overall, very fun. When I was driving to Saratoga Springs to get the Wire DVD, I was tearing up, as I have a few times at the not the song where Philip dies, but the song after that, Quiet Uptown. Yeah, very emotional. And he says,
that is a very emotionally poignant and resonant song. I have gotten emotional from listening to Hamilton many, many times.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing musical, and I have many fond memories of singing it with you, Kevin. I remember listening to it when we were in Dinky Creek with Madeline. And I have never seen the Disney Plus version.
Really?
I probably should at some point. I just never have.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, no. It says here I watched it. Yeah, it says here I watched it and gave it 4.5 stars, but I have no memory of that, so.
Maybe you only logged it because you saw it at the Pantages, and it's like kind of the same thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, but
either way, though.
My favorite musical,
great
I think.
musical.
I've only seen a couple other ones, but the thing with them is they're really artistically great. Like especially "Come From Away." I saw that one on Broadway on my New York trip back in my senior year. That one's really great, but it's not. The songs are good, I guess, in the moment, but it's not something I would really listen to. Whereas a lot of the songs from Hamilton, like there's kind of the slow songs that I kind of skip if I'm doing through, just to kind of just make a cue of all the really great rap songs. It's really fun to rap along with, like the kind of slower singing songs where he says that would be enough. That was kind of a slower song. it's good, but it's not as fun to really go hard to, jam out to. But songs like Cabinet Battle, Guns and Ships, Nonstop, What Did I Miss? They're all very great. David Diggs.
Those are all great songs. I'd
Thomas
agree.
Jefferson. Yeah.
Do you think I get it right? About the envelope. So sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay. This looks good. Yeah, you just need a stamp.
Yeah. And how am I gonna stand?
You can go to any post office. There's a post office, I think, like half a mile from here. It's like a big rectangular black building. Yeah, just look up on Google Maps any post office, and there's a automatic machine you can buy them from. You don't have to wait in line.
Oh! Watch out for your chair.
Thanks for the tip.
Thank you. I'm gonna go for the post office.
All right.
Do they sell individual stamps at that machine? Or do you have to buy a whole sheet?
What?
Do they sell individual stamps there, or do you have to buy a whole sheet?
I believe they sell individual stamps.
Did you hear that? I had it was only my mic. I forgot.
I could. Okay. Anyway.
That was Hamilton.
Great, Hamilton.
I think I'll rewatch the Disney Plus one for another couple of years if I ever do. But I've still been kind of putting a couple songs on occasionally. Yeah, there's a lot of good songs in that Broadway recording, the original cast recording. It's very good, very well produced.
No doubt.
No doubt.
All right.
So
Now shall we continue?
So now you can kind of go on, because I only watched one more and then kind of fell off the movies. I haven't watched any more since.
All right. Well, on the 16th, I watched the film Lolita, which I have right here, which I checked out from the library.
Nice.
The
Haven't returned that one yet?
Chicago Public Library. Don't need to return it yet.
Is that the one I went to with you? Same branch?
Yes.
Oh, the Birds.
The one that's right across from me. I also have these 3 other films.
Nice.
Night of the Living Dead, Eraserhead, and The Birds.
I've got Night of the Living Dead and Eraserhead on Criterion, but I have not. Don't
Nice.
However, I have seen it.
Lolita was one of the films, one of the Stanley Kubrick films that I had never seen. I've seen the majority of his movies, but I had never seen Lolita. And I have memories of my old friend Rachel and Lettuce discussing Lolita in 9th grade, and always being curious to watch it, but never watched it up until now. Lolita was it was all right. It wasn't amazing. It was basically just a movie about a sex pervert who was obsessed with this 15-year-old girl, Lolita. I believe she was 15.
Yeah, I know, it's
What?
An underage thing. It's right. It's like a questionable underage story, right?
Yes, this girl Lolita is kind of playfully, I guess you could say, flirting with this older gentleman. But the older gentleman is definitely trying to take advantage of her and control her. I don't exactly remember the whole trajectory of what happened in the movie. It was just a lot of this guy kind of being a creep towards this girl Lolita. But I will say it was shot very well, and it was very visually compelling. The plot wasn't the best, but overall,
Films, right?
I could definitely... What?
One of his earlier films, right?
Yes, it was from 1962. The whole thing's in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I could definitely tell it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and at the same time, I could tell it was one of his earlier films. So, it's pretty good, but there are other movies out there I'd say that are better, especially movies by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about that.
Nice. He has such a small handful of films that he's made, and yet he's one of the most famous of all time. He really left.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta watch all his films. I've only seen 3.
Which of his films have you seen?
Shining, Clockwork Orange, in 2001.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should get on that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, you watched The Big Lebowski on the 16th?
I did, yeah. Me and Ben have kind of been going on our a mini Coen Brothers thing. He, I think, wanted to watch.
Sure, no problem. What happened?
I'm gonna go get some water.
Sorry.
True.
Yep. Ah. All right. Ben apparently ate shit this morning as he was leaving his work. He fell down the stairs as he was looking at YouTube shorts on his phone.
Ugh.
And then he dropped his phone like a flight of stairs, but it didn't get cracked. He scraped his knees and his elbow. You watching there?
That's too bad.
Yeah, he's okay though. What is
So I accidentally pulled up a YouTube page, a leave activity.
what was
Figured
that?
out a workaround for YouTube being blocked on my computer, which like I could watch it through Discord.
Oh, I see.
All right, now shall you discuss The Big Lebowski?
Yeah. So, like I was saying, Ben wanted to watch No Country for Old Men one time. I guess he just heard about it and wanted to watch it, so I watched it on my Blu-ray. We enjoyed it, and then I ended up starting Fargo and my next show on my scheduled TV show watch lists. So we watched the original film first, which is kind of a season zero for the TV show, as it takes place in the same universe. We can talk more about Fargo as the TV section of our podcast maybe after this. But so that, I think we've watched No Country for Old Men. We've watched um, Fargo, and now we watched The Big Lebowski. Those are Coen Brothers movies, and he's also seen The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which I have not seen. So that's 4 Coen Brothers movies for him. I've also seen 4. My fourth being Raising Arizona, but he has not seen that. So
Love Raising Arizona.
yeah, it's great. So we'd like to go through a whole Coen Brothers watch along. I think they're probably my favorite directors overall currently.
Yeah, they make some good movies. Ethan Coen just came out with his own film separate from Joel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think they've done a couple of their own solo projects. I think Joel did Macbeth last year, or 2 years ago, which Ethan was not involved with. Yeah, but so he wanted to watch The Big Lebowski specifically, so I put in my Blu-ray, and I haven't seen this one for a couple of years. I think this might be the 4th time I've watched it now. But it just is really great. It's their most comedic film, I think, of the ones I've seen. But they all just kind of have this thing where it's like coincidentally, just things get out of control. It's always kind of just things just kind of sort of happen, and events spiral out of control from there. It's really really cool way of all the stories happening, but yeah, it's just hilarious. I think just the dialogue feels so natural. The way they communicate at the bowling alley with Walter and Donnie and the dude, they all just feels like they're really just talking. And probably my favorite John Goodman role is as Walter. He's really great, really hilarious. He just shoehorns in any discussion of Vietnam every time. Just kills me. Anytime he says "Shut the fuck up, Donnie," really makes me crack up. Donnie is just there's just no reason for him to be in the movie, really, if you think about it. But he doesn't really contribute anything to the plot except for comedic value. But I love it that way. Uh, he says, "Those are good burgers, Walter." They're talking about In and Out. It's really, really funny. Um, all in all, yeah. And probably my favorite Jeff Bridges role, I would think, overall, too. He's just all the acting is really great. The script is just fantastic. Really funny role of what's his face? The guy that died from heroin. what's his name? Can't believe it.
Guy who died from heroin?
Philip
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yeah, really funny role as him too. Just kind of like a little meek kind of employee of the Big Lebowski. Really funny. And the Big Lebowski is a funny character too. He, the way he just is rich and looks down on the dude, and just the dialogue is really great. I don't know. There's something to those Coen Brothers guys. They just are really great at writing scripts.
Yeah, I agree. The Coen brothers make really good, solid, funny movies. They're always really well made, and the scripts are good and clever, I feel like, and it's a great movie, I agree. I was the dude in 10th grade for my Halloween costume.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the movie. I especially enjoy the part where they play the song "The Man in Me" by Bob Dylan, and then the dude has this little dream sequence, I think, and like where he's like a bowling ball, or like he's bowling pins or something, or he's in a bowling alley and he's floating.
The Man in Me is the song at the beginning, and that dream sequence is I just stopped in to see what my condition was in. The song.
Oh, okay. Well,
but yeah,
I guess I was mistaken.
Great musical choices all around. Yeah. I think that it begins with it says "The Man in Me," and then it does the title sequence and shows neon lights and everything. And then Sam Elliott's character is really great too. He narrates at the beginning, and then he shows up, breaks the fourth wall, and looks at the camera. And I got kind of weirdly touched and emotional at the end. He's like, "I got sad when Donnie died. I didn't like that part, but it's good knowing that he's out there, the dude, taking it easy for all us sinners or something like that."
True.
Just
I could definitely imagine myself getting chills at that line too.
yeah.
Definitely an iconic film at this point. It's one of those iconic classic movies, and the dude is an iconic character, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Well, very strange too, but yeah, I mean, I gave this 5 stars, no question. One of my favorites of all time, I think. Probably the movie that makes me laugh the most, I think. Yeah, I love it. It's really, really great. I really want to watch all the Coen Brothers movies. I think I've seen 5 total. How many have you seen?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
9? 9 of Joel Coen's movies. That's including The Tragedy of Macbeth. I have not. I need to see Inside Llewyn Davis, Brother Where Art Thou, Hail Caesar, Blood Simple, and Barton Fink, I believe.
Nice.
Miller's Crossing, I guess, also. But yes.
Nice.
Now, how many TV shows do you have to discuss, Kevin?
I think 4, maybe. I can.
4 more?
Yeah, mention a couple and then. Yeah, I think 4.
All right, why don't you go ahead and knock out one of those shows here before I move on to the home stretch of the movies, because you've just finished up all of the movies you watched for February, correct?
Yep. Yeah. Well, like I said, I can go into Fargo now, which the Coen Brothers are also involved with. I think they're executive producers. I don't think they're really involved with the script, but I'm not sure if it's just kind of a acknowledgement type of executive producer credit, or I mean, I think that they're definitely involved with the first season. I'm not sure how involved they are as the seasons go on. They do a season like every 2 to 3 years or so. Um, but Fargo is really good. Ben really loves it. I love it. We've been watching it together. Um, the It takes place in the same world as the Fargo film. The Fargo film kind of serves as a season 0, I always say.
So I've heard.
Yes, the first season, there's like minor connections throughout the seasons. The first season, I won't really spoil it, but there's a really cool connection in the sixth episode that connects it to the film that I was like, wow. And I kind of noted, I didn't really realize at first, but they do a similar visual, they do a similar kind of sequence, similar shot. And I was like, oh, that's that from the first movie. That's awesome. And it makes sense. And it's full of recognizable actors. Bob Odenkirk's in the first movie, the first season, as one of the cops. Glenn Howerton from Always Sunny's in it, the first season. And Tom Hanks' son, Colin Hanks, is in it as Gus Golding. And Billy Bob Thornton, of course, Bad Santa, I know him as before this show, plays Lorne Malvo, who is a really great Anton Chigurh type character, just a kind of a seemingly unstoppable force, kind of the devil on your shoulder. He kind of just says things to people and they just kind of go down a bad path. And the main character of the first season, Lester Freeman, played by Lester Nygaard, not Freeman. Just mixing up the names. Lester Nygaard, played by Martin Freeman, of course, doing a great Midwestern accent. Of course, it was very all the more impressive considering he's a British man. But the first season is really great. Lester is a really despicable character as it goes on. He has a really great arc, really great downfall arc as he just gets more and more corrupted. And Lorne Malvo is a really great character as well. And I just finished season 2 this past Thursday. And season 2 serves as a prequel to season 1, very loosely connected. One of the characters in season 1 is younger in this one. He was a side character in season 1, now he's the main character in season 2. And season 2 has a lot of recognizable actors as well. Patrick Wilson plays the main character of Lou in this season. And then Kirsten Dunst is in it as Peggy. Jesse Plemons is one of the main characters as well in season 2 as Ed. And it's very similar to all the other Coen Brothers stuff. It's kind of, I've heard that it's kind of like they tribute a lot of Coen Brothers projects in the film as well. Especially Lorne Malvo is a very Anton Chigurh-ish character. One of the characters in season 2 says friendo, which of course Chigurh says. But yeah, it's pretty much an anthology series, as it's not a ongoing story, not serialized like Breaking Bad or dramas like that. But it is connected. Like I said, it's a prequel, and the second season is a prequel to the first season. In the first season, Lou mentions how there was like this big massacre back in '79. He talks about that in the first season, and then in the second season we see it. But I think season 2 overall is probably I like it more. I think Lorne Malvo is the best character overall from the series. He's just really fun to watch. See him kind of incite chaos. But season 2, especially Peggy and Ed's story, they're kind of stuff just kind of happens once again, and stuff gets out of hand. The cops are trying to figure everything out, and there's just some really horrible people out there, and it's really every episode starts with it says this is a true story. All the events depicted are portrayed exactly as they happened. Out of respect for the living, the names have been changed. Out of respect for the dead, everything else has been told exactly as it occurred, which is what they say in the beginning of the Fargo film as well, which is just not true. Nothing about it is based in reality, and that's kind of not exactly sure why they put it. I think it's just because the story is so outlandishly violent and over the top sometimes, and especially since it takes place in small Minnesotan and South Dakotan in season 2. Small towns. It's like all these insane events are happening in just such a small town, and most of the characters have the Minnesotan accents and kind of talk like this and say "oh yeah" a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
and all those types of Midwestern kind of isms.
Kind of like Ian's mom.
Sayings. Oh, really? She has
Yep.
an accent?
Yep.
Yeah, I met her once, but I don't remember. Yeah, but it's they're all doing the accents. Um, season 2 is a lot more involved with the crime syndicate out of Kansas City, and the reason it's called Fargo is one of the main crime syndicates is based in Fargo, of course. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to keep watching it. Season 3, I think, takes place now in 2011. First season
Wow.
takes place in 2006. Season 2 is 79. Season 3 is 2011, and season 3 I know has David Thulin as Remus from Harry Potter, so I'm excited to see his role. I think he plays a real despicable guy in this one. And what's his name? Ian McGregor is in it. I think the main character. I believe he's playing two characters in this season. He plays brothers. He just plays both roles. So I'm really excited to see how this plot happens. I have not seen the first episode yet. I'm going to watch it starting Tuesday. Begin this great journey of season 3. And then after that, watch season 4 and season 5. Chris Rock is the star in season 4, and John Hamm is the star in season 5. So I can't wait to get into those. Really curious to see how they all connect. What crazy events are going to occur now. Are you give me a room tour there, or just switching your lighting?
I was just turning the lights on. That was all.
Yeah, the lighting's definitely better. You're kind of descending into the void there.
Yep, well, the sun sets and we lose the light.
5:38 in your city, 4:38
Yep.
in mine. Light's still shining in mine, but it starts to go down in an hour.
That's right.
But yeah, I would highly recommend Fargo. It's a really great, enjoyable show. Very bingeable too. Yeah, I love it. Really great. Can't wait to watch the next couple seasons.
Fantastic, Kevin. Hopefully we'll hear more about Fargo next episode, next month.
In our March episode.
All right. Now I watched the film Tokyo Story for my World Cinema History class. This movie I can't honestly say I was very engaged in it. I don't know why. It was visually very appealing. I liked the way the shots were composed, and I think it was done in a very matter-of-fact manner where they just kind of show flat on everything that's going on, and there's a lot of use of depth with there will be characters behind a counter or behind a wall that are running in and out of frame throughout the series of a shot. But it's mostly just a very slow, kind of deep human kind of film about a aging elderly couple that goes to visit their kids in Tokyo, and they are disappointed by basically how their kids have changed, and it's just a big overarching kind of character piece, you might say. I didn't rate it on Letterboxd just because I feel like I should watch it again because I wasn't engaged while I was watching it, so I feel like I didn't truly get the full experience, but I could definitely see why it's such a popular film. Directed by Yasuhiro Ozu.
Yeah, it looks like it is number 38 on the top 250, which is, all these prestigious top films are very daunting to try to take on. I think. Maybe.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of true, I also then on the 25th watched The Truman Show.
Nice.
With Ian.
Now that's
the Truman
film.
Truman Show is very heavily enjoyable, very kind of fast-paced. The story moves very quickly, and I think Jim Carrey delivers the performance of a lifetime in this film. I think he's fantastic. I also think that Laura Linney, who plays his wife, is also fantastic. Laura Linney is also in Ozark, which I have been watching this month with my roommates. And boy, when she says, "Try this new Mococo mix," it's all natural, or whatever. That part's really great.
Yeah, it's very
The smile, the face
funny,
she gives.
also very creepy. Just
Um,
at her wit's end, she's backed into a corner.
yeah. On this film, I just really felt bad for this watch around. I just really felt so bad for Truman, and I just felt like he's being abused so much. What?
It's really messed up. It's a very comedic film, but it's very light kind of tone, but it's
Definitely extremely messed up.
Concept.
I think it's also funny how the last shot is the two like security guards saying, "Let's see if there's anything else on TV," after they cut transmission of the Truman Show.
Yeah, just move on.
Thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But overall, this is a classic film, so
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm sure all of our listeners have already seen it, but if you haven't, I would definitely watch it.
Yeah.
I also love the music they use in the film, especially there's a song they use when he is stopping traffic and he's first kind of realizing that he's kind of special. It's called Anthem Part 2 by Philip Glass, and it's one of the best. It's not, the score wasn't made for, or that song wasn't made for this movie, part of another score for a different movie, but even so, it's a fantastic piece of music. I mean, I just love it. I think it works perfectly.
Nice. Can't remember it, but I remember that scene.
Well, you can look it up and then you could listen to it later.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I just want to mention the final sequence when he goes and opens that door in the cloud wall. That's one of my favorite shots in any film. I think just very, very great. The stairs. He opens the door. Just that shot is just really fantastic. That's when it really gets to touch my feelings. For the most part, it's pretty enjoyable, really funny, but especially gets really emotional and.
Oh yeah, of course.
Really great at that final kind of part.
When he says, "In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night," and then he bows, that's just the best. And then the music comes in. Yeah, I get chills every time.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see. Now, since I just talked about the Truman Show, which has Laura Linney in it, I might as well also now discuss Ozark, which you have not seen, Kevin.
Which I have not seen, but
so I will not spoil it.
The plot.
What?
But I'm vaguely familiar with the plot, kind of Breaking Bad-esque, right?
It is very Breaking Bad-esque. Not as good as Breaking Bad, I wouldn't say, but still very good. It stars Jason Bateman in a very serious, dramatic role, I'd say. He has a family with Laura Linney and these two young actors. He has two kids in the show, Charlotte and Jonah. Jason Bateman plays Marty Bird, and his wife is Wendy Bird. And basically, Marty is a financial accountant or a financial advisor who launders money for a Mexican drug cartel, the Navarro drug cartel. And eventually, he gets into some pretty bad waters with the leader of the cartel, and to save his life, he says that he could launder $500 million in 5 years for the cartel, which is a crazy amount, which he never thought he'd actually be able to do, but he just said it so he could try and survive. And so he's forced to liquidate all of his assets and take his entire family to a town in Missouri on the Ozark Lakes. And basically he slowly starts laundering money for this cartel by buying up businesses. And we meet different local characters, including different families such as the Langmores and the Snells, who grow poppy flowers and make heroin. And the Langmores are like a crime family. And all these different characters intertwine. We get to see his kids grow up. I think it definitely has a much greater emphasis on the kids and how they're reacting to this situation, and definitely much more character development for the kids than Breaking Bad has, I'd say, with Walt Jr. Very little character development, I think, I'd say, for Walt Jr.
Definitely.
Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least time where it's just Walt Jr. hanging out. There's a lot of time where it's just his kids by themselves off doing their own thing. and they're kind of in like this summer resort kind of feeling place. So a lot of the times they're in boats or hanging out on docks, things like that. But I think it's a really great, exciting kind of show that you want to keep watching the next episode, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of very violent stuff occurs. I think the reason why it's not as good as Breaking Bad is because it doesn't feel like it has that succinct arc from the beginning of turning like a good guy into an evil guy or whatever. Mr. Chips into Scarface, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have that. The show starts with the Marty Bird and Wendy Bird already being kind of fully complicit in this money laundering, and they're basically it would basically be like if Breaking Bad started with Walt already working for Gus, and the whole show was just Walt working for Gus, essentially, or an equivalent to that.
Do the stakes get raised every season?
I would say they definitely get more and more involved in the operation every season, and especially Wendy. Wendy is a character who really likes power and wants to grow the operation, and she tries to kind of get friendly with the leader of the cartel, Omar Navarro. She has these little private conversations on the phone with him, and she's sort of a badass character. She's the balls of the operation, I'd say. Marty Bird is a very calm mannered, kind of calculating guy who never really gets too aggressive. But Wendy is very fierce. She's kind of like a lioness. Sometimes it feels like she'll have these very convincing like glares at people, and you're like, oh wow, I'm scared. Wendy, what's she gonna do?
Do the kids
Def
do the kids know why they moved? Are they aware what's going on?
Yeah, the kids are fully in on it and aware, and they're actively lying to the FBI.
Mm. How
They
old
are
they?
fully cooperating.
They're high school age or?
Yeah, they're like 13 and 15, I think, when the show starts.
Interesting.
Yep, and Marty's son, Jonah Bird, is definitely a very interesting character. They also live, the only house they were able to buy in their budget when they had to move to the Ozarks was owned by a dying elderly man named Buddy. And the agreement of the buying the house is that they'd have to let Buddy live there until he died. And Buddy and Jonah become good friends throughout the show as well.
Nice. What season are you on?
We are just starting up season 4, which is the last season.
I think they did
14 episodes in season 4 and 10 episodes in the rest of the seasons.
Nice. I think they kind of split it, right?
Yep, 2-part.
7 and 7.
Yep, that's right.
You've been doing one every night consistently?
Not every night. Sometimes I'll fall asleep, or Alex will fall asleep, or Alex will be out doing something. So, not every night, but most nights.
You watched one last night?
No, we did not.
Nice. So the most recent one was Friday night?
I think so.
Was that a good episode?
Yeah, I can't really remember what happens from episode to episode. But yes, it was good.
Yeah, might watch that this year. Maybe I'll watch that next after Fargo.
Good idea.
Nice.
All right. Do you have any more TV shows, Kevin?
I have a couple more, yeah.
All right.
Let me just.
It's going to be a long episode, huh?
Yeah, we've been going 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Well, that's what we already recorded at.
Yeah, that was 50 minutes of footage, so this is going to be about probably go maybe 3.5, almost 4.
All right.
That's it. Or get back into it episode. Don't think they'll be this long, but maybe they will, and it's fine with that. It's fun. Sorry, I'm just trying to check if this new show I watched started in February. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, so yeah, I have I guess 4 actually I could discuss. I could briefly I watched the last episode of Series of Unfortunate Events on February 12th. So I've been reading the books and then watching the episodes that correlate to them after each book. Briefly, I really liked the series. Really great. Lemony Snicket's a great narrator. It's really cool how he incorporates himself, or Daniel Hander incorporates the fictional character of Lemony Snicket as the author into the story. It's really, really cool overall. I thought the end, the book was pretty cool. That's the only one I'd never read before I restarted the series. Um, I enjoyed it a lot. There's definitely a lot of answers left unanswered, or a lot of questions left unanswered. Kind of seems like he sets up all these questions and just doesn't answer them at all, barely any of them. Especially the sugar bowl, you don't really know what's in that. Really, the only mystery is that what VFD is. The show definitely expands about it a lot. So that the series.
What do you mean? They explain what VFD is, don't they?
Yeah, I know. I said that's like the only question they really answer. Mainly,
Got
is what they're all about.
Mhm.
But I watched the last episode in early February on the 12th. Didn't really enjoy it too much. Every other episode they did it in 2 parts, and for some reason the very final one they only did it in 1 part. So I don't really know why. It felt kind of rushed. Overall, didn't really enjoy the Netflix series quite as much. Not even close, actually, to the book series. It kind of just works better as a series, especially since so much of it is about like books and Klaus, definitions and everything. Lemony Snicket defines a lot of things. It doesn't really
True.
work as well as a TV show. It kind of seems like almost overproduced. It kind of just seems a lot kind of wacky, too wacky. Which the books are kind of outlandish and wacky, but it just put on screen, it kind of just feels more. I don't know, just over the top. The books are a lot more angsty and kind of more serious. Um, and I enjoy them, even though they're children's books. I still really enjoyed reading them as a young adult now. But yeah, didn't really enjoy the end of the show too much. Really enjoyed the series as a whole. I guess there's a prequel series of 4 books, which maybe I'll eventually read. Not too interested in that though. I just really like the main 13 books. I think the books themselves are really cool as well. Just the look of them, it's really cool. Very interesting series of unfortunate events. And that's about it.
I agree with you entirely, Kevin. I think the book covers look awesome. I think Lemony Snicket is a really cool character that Daniel Handler invented. I would have to say I think I really enjoyed the TV show quite a bit. I think that the over-the-top, wacky, zany style that they produce it in kind of works very well for the show. Just because the books, as you said, are kind of wacky, and I think Neil Patrick Harris does a great job being Count
No,
Olaf,
he's really
and
involved. He really loves the role. He's the executive producer too, so seems like he's really.
I'm personally just glad that they actually went through the whole show, got through every book, and it didn't end up like the original movie that came out that only had the first 3.
Yeah.
Although I do really like the way that original movie was made too, and Jim Carrey's performance. I like the production style of that movie as well. Just
Mm-hmm.
it was way too short. But yeah, I want our cousin McCoy to read Series of Unfortunate Events because he's been reading more chapter books recently. So I think it could be a good one. Maybe another step up from where he's at reading. But
Yep. Harry Potter and a Series of Unfortunate Events. Those are the 2 that I would like him to read.
yep.
Those are the essentials for me at least.
All right. And other TV shows.
Other TV shows. I could mention 3 other ones. I guess Dragon Ball Z is another one technically, but I already went into that. I just began that. I'm on episode 8 now. Gohan's a great new character. I'll just mention that. Goku's son, Gohan, is kind of the main character now of Dragon Ball Z. He's a really whiny baby right now, but he's gonna get really tough and become even stronger than Goku. Piccolo is beginning his arc from evilness to goodness, and it's really great to watch. Gosh, what was the other one? There was 3. Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll just talk about Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is my current favorite show. Absolutely love it. And I guess technically I've been watching Seinfeld too, but that's a rewatch. I love Seinfeld. It's my favorite laugh track sitcom. Just probably my favorite comedy show, along with Curb Your Enthusiasm. Similar to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I kind of view them as one show. Kind of similar with Curb Your Enthusiasm. Even though Curb Your Enthusiasm's not really...
Main difference would be that they don't take place in the same universe.
Yeah, but they coexist, kind of. Curb Your Enthusiasm wouldn't exist without Seinfeld, I think. And especially season 7 I just adored it. They do a reunion of Seinfeld within the show, and they bring all the main cast back, because Larry David wants to reboot the show just so he can get back with his ex-wife and cast her as George's wife. Really makes
Nice.
sense why they would do it. And I think it's just brilliant the way they did it. They've never done an actual Seinfeld reunion, so the fact that they do it within the show just really is genius. And it's very cool. It's kind of how like when Jesse meets Kim in the one episode of Better Call Saul. Spoilers. But it's like it's kind of crazy because you know like Jeff and Susie and Leon are the other supporting characters in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you see Leon interacting with Kramer's actor. It's very like worlds colliding. Season 7 was very, very awesome. But yeah, in February I watched seasons 6, 7, and 8, and they were all great. They're just finishing their final season now. I think they're about almost halfway through with it. It was very sad. The Larry David's best friend in the show and in real life, Richard Lewis, just died like 4 days ago.
That's
like
sad.
76, I think. Yeah, he's a really awesome character in the show. I highly recommend it. I think you should watch Seinfeld and then Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a great.
Yeah, I've seen some of Seinfeld and I've seen some of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't know you'd seen some of it.
I have. Well, let's see. I watched Battleship Potemkin on February 28th, which was a Russian Soviet film from 1905. A propaganda film, in fact. It was extremely exciting, though, as a film, I thought. The score was very exciting. It made me feel like I was really in the battles that were going on. Most of the film involved different battles. The first part of it involved a mutiny of the Soviets overthrowing the aristocratic rulers of a ship, I guess. And then it involves later in the movie actual battles with cannon fire and a battleship, and I just found the way that it was edited to be very compelling. It was fast-paced editing between different shots, and they also did like expansion editing where they would make a 2-second actual time event make it seem like it took 10 seconds by cutting to different shots of the same thing over and over again, which was kind of a innovative effect to do in 1925. But overall, besides the fact that it's definitely a propaganda film for the Soviets, I think it's a very well-made and very exciting movie.
Nice, from 1925. Did you watch this in class, or?
Yes, I did. I watched like 20 minutes of The Passion of Joan of Arc in class also, but not the whole thing. And that would be the final film for my films. I have watched 4 movies since the end of February. Horrible Bosses 2, Zoolander, and On the Rocks. But
But you'll have to wait until next month.
you'll have to wait until next episode about that because it's our month in film.
February episode.
Yes.
Cool. Any more TV shows you have to talk about, or can I just knock off the last 2?
I have nothing else to talk about.
All right. Man, it's really weird. This full screen, you're like going like, you look like this. Like every move you make is like choppy and weird. Like it looks very strange. But when I'm looking at OBS, it looks completely smooth. So it's something weird with the full screen.
Very strange.
I'm looking weird too. It's tripping me out. I just look at OBS to get the real. Hopefully, it doesn't look like the recording, but OBS looks fine. It's pretty strange. All right. Well, my last 2 shows are Extras and The Walking Dead, which I've been watching The Walking Dead since January of 2022.
Well, since you were like in 7th grade.
Well, yeah, but my true full watch through of the entire Walking Dead universe, which is still ongoing. They just dropped the Rick and Michonne show now. They're now in the spin-off era. The main show is done. Fear the Walking Dead is done. So now they are releasing some spin-offs. But I'm on season 8 right now. They're in the middle of the all-out war arc. The Hilltop, the Kingdom, and Alexandria are battling against the Saviors and Negan. It's very exciting. Yeah, overall, it's not a bad show at all. I think it's pretty entertaining. Really great for the most part. The writing can be a bit loose. I think they do a lot of kind of self-indulgent, kind of like morality stuff. I think a lot of that is attributed to the show writer Scott Gimple, who later was replaced by Angela Kinsey, although I think he actually just got promoted instead of like fired him. But I think he was the reason that Carl died. I just recently watched Carl's death episode, which I've now surpassed where I was in my original watch along when I was watching live back in, I think I was a junior. It was 16 when Carl died, and I stopped watching before Carl died. But now now I'm up to that point, and it was definitely an emotional episode when Carl died. I think the acting is the strongest part of the show. Andrew Lincoln is really, really great as Rick Grimes. I think he's the foundation and soul of the show, so I'm worried and curious to see what will happen after he leaves in season 9, as they did in another 3 seasons without him. But yeah, I think, like I said, the acting's the greatest part. Andrew Lincoln is a really fantastic actor. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Andrew Clutterbuck.
Andrew Clutterbuck, yes, is his real name, his stage name, Andrew Lincoln. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is really great as Negan now. Excited to see how the end of the show, the end of this arc ends up, as I've not seen past where I am now. I've also been, and I've been reading the comics as well, 1 issue a week as well as 1 episode a week. I'm now about a season behind the comics comparatively. They're just starting to ramp up the war in the comics. They are right in the middle of the war, winding towards the end of it. I'm on episode 11 now. That's what I'll watch this week. Got 6 more episodes left in season 8. And then I will move on into the full expanded universe after season 8. I will watch Fear the Walking Dead season 4, where Morgan goes from The Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead, becomes the leading star in that show. So I'm curious to see how it expands. Not particularly excited to stop watching The Walking Dead, as it's much better than Fear the Walking Dead. And I hear that Fear the Walking Dead isn't quite as good, especially the Morgan seasons. I watched Fear the Walking Dead back in 2021, the first 3 seasons, as those take place before Rick wakes up from his coma. But yeah, for the most part, especially the first 4 seasons or so, are really memorable and iconic in my mind. Those are some great times I had watching those. I think the Governor is a really fantastic character. Probably a better villain than Negan overall, as Negan is more outlandish, but the Governor is just a hardcore psycho, really set on vengeance and revenge. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Wouldn't really particularly recommend it, as it's just an You really can't watch the main show anymore without getting into the expanded universe, as the series finale kind of just sets up the spin-off shows, which is kind of disappointing that they do that. But used to be a
Damn.
really solid single line kind of focused story, but now it's really branching off. They're setting up the CRM, which is what the Rick show is about now.
Mm.
So I'm curious to see where it goes. I've been watching it once a week since my Walker Wednesday started back in October of 2021, and at the rate I'm going, I'll probably be done in 2026, maybe mid 2026 or something.
Wow. That'll be the day.
I'm excited for the ride. I've been enjoying it once a week. It's a good pace to go because some of the episodes I don't really enjoy. Some of the writing is pretty eye rolly. A lot of the Walker stuff is pretty loose. The rules are pretty loose when it comes to Walkers, Walker blood. But I'm enjoying it. And the last show I've just started. After I finished Curb Your Enthusiasm season 8, I took a pause on it to simulate the 8-year gap between season 8 and 9, where Larry David, I guess, was creatively tired and didn't want to do the show anymore. But then, I think once the MAGA era started, I believe he got more inspiration and started the show again. So season 9, 10, 11, and 12 are much more recent. I think season 8 ended in 2011. So I'm simulating that break between seasons 8 and 9 by watching the television show Extras, which I'd never heard of before Curb Your Enthusiasm, because Ricky Gervais is in one episode playing himself, of course, as many cameo guest star actors play themselves in the show, and yet also Bob Odenkirk plays a separate character, not himself in the show, as well as Chris Parnell and other characters like that. But most of the guest actors play themselves, but Ricky Gervais gives a DVD of the show Extras to Susie. He says, and Susie's like, "Oh my gosh, this is my favorite comedy show." And then Larry's like, it was pretty good. I don't know if it's the best." And then Ricky Gervais goes, "Yeah, well, Seinfeld I really enjoy broad comedy." He was like kind of like passively aggressively insulting Larry David. He says, "I really like how it has a laugh track. It tells you when it's funny." It's kind of insulting him. His face. It's very funny, but it's in the show.
Funny.
So obviously Larry David's kind of insulting himself. So yeah, Extras, I never heard of it, but it's also kind of similar to Curb Your Enthusiasm, in where every episode it's a British show written and created by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. I think they write each episode, and the premise of the show is basically it's about two extra background actors that the main motivation is to get a line, pretty much. The main two characters, Maggie and Andy, are pretty funny, very cynical show. Extremely depressing. I guess I've heard like kind of British humor is more depressing. The only British show I've really seen is Ghosts, which is not depressing. It's very wholesome and heartwarming. But Extras, I feel like, especially episode 4, the Les Dennis episode, I think, was like extremely depressing. And this one was pretty depressing too. It's very awkward, uncomfortable humor a lot of the time, kind of like The Office. But each episode has a guest star. The first episode has Ben Stiller playing himself. Each episode is like that. The one I watched today had Sam Jackson playing himself, and very dry kind of British humor, very depressing, very pathetic kind of scenarios. It's very just pathetic, depressing show, but it's pretty funny. So it's only 2 seasons, as lots of British shows are pretty short. Each season only has 6 episodes, which I believe is kind of the standard for British comedies. Looks like it's only 13 episodes total. I'm looking at my app right now. So I've got 1 episode left in season 1, and season 2 has 6 episodes, and then I guess they did their own set-alone series finale, which I will watch. I'm watching it on Peacock now, and it's really enjoyable.
And then once you finish Extras, you'll resume watching Curb Your Enthusiasm?
That's right. I will watch the final 40 episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Hopefully, I would like to catch up by the series finale, which will probably air in. Which I can check the date it will air in. Probably in like early May. 34 days.
Got it.
And it will air on April 7th, actually. So I really got to catch up. But I'd definitely like to watch it, as there are rumors of another Seinfeld kind of reunion happening. Because I know Jerry Seinfeld talked about some sort of Seinfeld finale remake or something during one of his stand-up specials recently, and someone recorded it. Kind of became a buzz headline, but it would definitely make sense. I'm not sure how they're going to do it and keep it creative, because they already did a Seinfeld reboot within the Curb Your Enthusiasm show. Not exactly sure, but I would like to watch that live and be there to witness it. Rest in peace to Richard Lewis. I will cherish the scenes he has in the last 4 seasons. But yeah, love Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's better than Extras, I think. Just really
Nice.
enjoyable and silly and awesome and funny.
Uh-huh.
Love whenever they reference Seinfeld or show clips of it.
Larry David's a funny guy.
Yep, Larry David.
I just listened to him on the Conan O'Brien podcast.
Nice.
Just a couple weeks ago, he was on there.
I should listen to that one. Yeah, I love Larry David. He's awesome.
He was a writer on SNL for 1 year. Did you know that?
I did know that. He quit and then tried to walk back in and say, "Oh, you took that seriously?" And then they basically they made that into a Seinfeld episode in which George does basically the same thing.
He told that story on the Conan O'Brien podcast.
Yeah, I think I saw that clip. I knew
Nice.
a lot of the Seinfeld scenarios are based in reality. There's a lot of scenarios that kind of are very similar in Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
True.
They're both equally the kind of seesaw, just like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad in my mind, as my favorite comedy shows. I think they're both awesome and very funny and really.
Not Always Sunny anymore? You've outgrown Always Sunny?
Yeah, it hasn't been Always Sunny for a while. I rewatched Seinfeld, and past season 16 kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Most of the episodes weren't very funny, and all the actors have plastic surgery now.
True.
It's kind of like, Frank Reynolds is still a highlight. Frank and Charlie are still really cool, but I haven't rewatched really any episodes in a while. However, I still do enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, why do they all have plastic surgery, huh?
I don't know. Rob McElhenney and Kayla Wilson, I guess, are really vain and afraid of aging. Charlie Day has not had any plastic surgery, though. He's my favorite out of them. And Danny DeVito, of course. I think he is truly the highlight of the show.
All right, now that we've discussed all of the films, shall we conclude this episode of our podcast?
Yeah, what a productive episode, a conversation. I look forward to finishing this up and editing it and posting it. Although there's not too much editing, I might try to edit out that mail conversation. But
no, I think you should leave it. Now, I was wondering if we could have a segment on the podcast called Song of the Month, where I play a song on the ukulele.
Sure. Is it going to be tuned and good sounding or bad?
Does it sound good? Can you hear it?
Yeah, hopefully it all comes through. It's not like suppressed or anything, but go ahead.
All right, let's see. Ready?
All right.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked. You want me to just call it off there?
I thought you were stopping there, but you can go. You can do the whole song.
All right. In restless dreams I walked alone. Narrow streets of cobblestone. 'neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light, lit the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never share. No one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sun flashed. Wait, and the sun flashed out its warning in the words that it was for me. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway wall and tenement halls, and whispered the sounds of silence. That's all.
Wow. Good job, Zach. I'd say about
Thanks.
85% of that came through. Some of the
That's
notes
good.
kind of cut out, but for the most part, it sounded good.
Perfect. Good enough for me.
That the Simon and Garfunkel version?
I don't know any other one.
Nice.
What other version of Sounds of Silence is there?
I don't know. There's probably like a cover.
Yeah.
Probably like a heavy metal cover or something. I was just thinking because I want to put a list of all its movies and shows talked about, and then at the end I put Song of the Month, Sign of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel, performed as Zach.
Got it.
Really tried.
All right. Well, that would be the end of this episode, right?
I'd say so, yeah. We did it. That was a long episode.
All right. Well, should we?
Today.
I checked if we had any emails because we used to read emails.
Yep.
And we don't really have any emails other than ones that say like new terms of service. Right. Mostly messages from Google primarily.
Stuff. Yeah. Looks like the last one was Rachel T.
Yes, there is one message from Rachel T.
My own private which I have on Criterion.
January 20th. I'm actually not sure why this was sent on January 20th, 2022, because we hadn't been doing our podcast for like 2 years at that point. But anyways, it says movie recommendation that you've probably seen, probably My Own Private Idaho, which I know that Rachel is a big fan of. Thanks for the recommendation. I've seen it.
I have not seen it.
Kevin has not seen it, so we'll take that into consideration. Maybe Kevin will be watching it this week.
Maybe. I have a question. Should we do a recommendation?
Oh yes.
I think we should flip a coin, and whoever lands on what we can pick to start off from next month, because we can just kind of start it. But
all right, I'll flip a coin here. Would you want heads or tails?
I'll call heads.
All right. Do you want it this month or do you not want it this month?
If it lands on heads, I'll do the recommendation this month.
Okay. It's on tails.
All right.
So that means that I will watch the recommendation this month or I will give a
That
recommendation.
means you will give a recommendation this month, and I will watch it.
All right. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll find time.
Recommend.
It's a lot easier to do it with within a month time frame instead of a week.
True.
Our month in film is much better than our week. Makes us more excited to do each week. Each month.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I would recommend.
Unless it's on my poster, which I will not, which you will have to pick another one. That is my only criteria. Unfortunately.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Mutant Mayhem.
Have you seen that?
The recent one? Is that the new one?
Yes.
Mayhem. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to kind of watch that one in theaters. I don't know anything about Ninja Turtles, but I heard it was fun. I know Jay liked it.
Yeah, it's very good. I saw it. My friend Hannah invited me to a Lemley screening, employees only.
Nice.
I watched it there, and it was pretty good.
Kind of like Spider-Verse-esque kind of animation, more kind of, instead of either just Pixar or 2D, it's kind of, like Jay said, kind of branching out in animation styles, which is awesome, I think.
Yep, it is very cool.
Yeah.
So you have to watch that this month.
I will. It's one I kind of had in the back of my mind I eventually want to watch, but I don't really know anything, or I'm interested in Ninja Turtles, but I think I will enjoy it even though I have no knowledge of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of Ninja Turtles, except for that their names are Raphael, Donatello.
I know their names, but I don't know which one is
something.
which. I have no clue.
Yeah, me neither.
Donnie, Mikey, Raph, Leo, ready, straight from the sewer, bebop and rock steady. I remember that from my sophomore year. I was a rapper guy. Cool rapper.
All right. Well,
alrighty, awesome.
I've been Zach Riley.
And this is Kevin.
Right. And as we always say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.